pretty stoked. We have a guest with us today. Can't wait to get into it. But before we introduce who we have with us and get into it, Jonah, there are a couple things that you kind of want to get everybody up to speed on.
This is actually on top of one of the other things that we've been trying to waiting to announce. But so first of all, some of you may have seen it, but we have a live event at Terrestrial Brewing that it will be April 6th at 7:00. We just put this up Sunday to start kind of inviting people to it, so we'll get it out to you eventually. We'll keep posting on Instagram, just to try to get as many people as we can out there. Basically, I guess we can say what the purpose of the event is not only just to entertain Patrick and myself, but it's also when we started this, and I think we've talked about this before, a lot of people came over to us and were just like, hey, you know what? You should have me on your podcast. And usually when that happens, they don't have no idea. Like our next question is, well, what do you want to talk about? And then everything just goes silent.
It happened today.
It did happen.
We were at lunch and somebody's like, have me on your podcast. What do you want to talk about? Oh, I have to pick the...
Like, yeah, dummy.
You can't just show up and suddenly be funny and have stories.
We're nobodies. You think we bring on a third nobody?
Right.
That's not how it works. Someone in the room has to have some pull.
Bring something to the table.
Dummy. Bring something to the table. If you're not famous, you better be funny. And unfortunately, everyone we've met is neither. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to open up to everybody. So you can either ask a question, you can give us a topic, or you can actually, I guess if you want to call it, audition to be on the podcast. Give us your topic and why you should be on. And just because, like we mentioned, that's happened a lot. We've only been doing this for 9 months now.
Yeah.
It's staggering the amount of people that I know who think they're interesting and who think that they're funny.
And I like to think we surround ourselves with interesting, funny people, but they're
apparently
not that fucking funny.
Apparently we don't at all. We don't have any friends that are interesting or funny.
Right.
My circle of friends is getting smaller and smaller with every passing episode. So
our virtual friends are increasing.
virtual friends, they're growing. Those real friends you can really count on.
Yeah.
That person in Pennsylvania who liked the photo of the dog you posted. That's who I'm going to fucking call when it's time for me to move. So that's our event. It's going to be on, again, April 6th, Terrestrial Brewing. They were really cool enough to let us do a podcast there without asking nearly no questions, which was a little concerning.
Right.
But they're going to let us do it. So it's going to be April 6th. The beer's really good there. Cool place to hang out. Should be a lot of fun, so hopefully everybody can make it there.
I agree. I hope somebody at least listened to an episode or two, at least some of it, to realize we're not like trying to recruit for like
super alt-right or something. Like it never came up. Yeah. He's like, hey guys, let's talk about it. Hey,
right.
Super nice guy. Yeah. He's like, so when do you want to do this? I'm like, oh shit, are we past the interview?
We're getting right into this.
That was the interview. The interview was me giving you my cell phone number. I wish real work was that easy.
Yeah, so we'll have Dan from the
Flirting with
Wallop Chains podcast is
He's
coming.
Gonna love that you got that wrong, by the way. Wallop Chains.
Did I say Wallop?
Yeah, he's been on twice.
He's changing all kinds of shit.
That's
Intro,
right.
logo, maybe just change the name while he's at it. So he'll be there, a ton of our friends, family, and at the end of the day, we just want to have a lot of fun. Obviously, we do a lot of laughing when we do this podcast.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to it. You also had marketing, a.k.a. your better half.
Yes.
Fire up a Facebook page. You and I were arguing about Facebook yesterday because we don't know how it works.
And about 20 minutes ago because we still don't know how it works. Anyway, we have a page. So again, we're using that to start inviting people. Please, let us know how many. We'd actually like to know how many are actually planning on attending. That way we can tell the brewery if they need to have more, bartenders there. So far, we've only been for a couple days. And we got about 30 confirmed, and we're still a month and a half out. So I think we can get a good crowd there. But I'd like to be able to give them an accurate number, work as a good partner and let them know how many are going to come. That way they'll know if they need more support on their side so they don't get slammed. So.
And special event stickers. So.
Yes, we actually just ordered them today.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, my God, we haven't even introduced you yet.
Number one, you got no friends. You already said that.
Touche. Go ahead, guest.
And I've already been told I'm not funny because I'm your guest.
Oh, prior guest.
Oh, what time on April 6th?
Oh, well played, guest. It's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Eastern?
Just in case. I don't know. I'm sure people are planning vacations around this event. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
In Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio.
So, yeah, it's good stuff. But you already heard the voice of our guest, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, and I'm looking at you. I've known you for a whole 7 to 10 minutes right now.
I'm not nervous at all.
Nor should you be. No one's listening.
Bullshit. People are going to listen to this one because I'm putting it out.
I know they will.
We've already been laughing our asses off, so I'm super stoked. And Andre Knox.
Yes, Andre Knott. No X's on it.
Oh,
but it's all right.
what
You're
did I
bald,
say?
You're bald and I'm bald, so it'll work.
What the fuck's happening here?
It's okay.
I can't say shit right.
I mean,
But-
It's a great way to start a podcast.
I know, right?
It's only. I mean,
It's Andre Knott. It's okay.
Yeah.
5 letters. I mean,
But-
it can really get. I mean, it's very
Well,
easy to get messed. The K is
example.
silent. The K is silent.
It's Knott. Andre cannot read. That's what they used to yell at me at school. Andre cannot run. Andre cannot.
No one said Andre
They
cannot
didn't
run.
say
That's a
that.
fucking
You're
lie.
right. You're right. They didn't say that one.
But here's why I'm excited,
You're
and I'm sincere when I say this. When Joe was telling people that you were coming on, I swear to you, everybody in this fucking town loves you. Everyone's reaction is like, Andre, fucking love that guy. I follow that guy. I know people that follow him,
You know what? That means the world to me. It really does.
and I'm sincere.
It happened. We were at a work event an hour before we came here, and somebody, a friend of mine that I work with, said, "Yeah, Joe's having Andre Knott on, or Knox, as some people know, is having a."
No, that's all right. I can be incognito. I like Andre Knott.
Yeah.
Andre Knox can tell
Plus,
stories.
we
Andre
already
Knott
have a joke that we're going to keep going back to. Yeah, he told the entire table, and 4 different people said, "We listen to him all the time." So yeah, you have a lot of followers and a lot of supporters in this town. Not even just Cleveland, obviously in Akron too, because it's where you're from. But yeah, I mean, everybody was really, really excited.
Yeah, I
so I think
appreciate
you're right. A lot of people will listen to this.
I do appreciate it. It's not what and we'll get into all this. It's not what I got into business for, got into this life for. But it is really cool to be around here. And like, I had a professor when I was at Kent State, and I won't say his name because he was an asshole. That when I had the balls finally to say what I wanted to do, because I'll be honest, I didn't feel comfortable standing up and saying, I want to do television or radio. I didn't. Like, and Joe's known me longer than anybody I've ever done a podcast with. I just didn't have the gall to do that. Like, playing sports was easy, right? Like, you throw the ball, you get the ball, you play, you run, you go. It was hard to say, I think I'm smart enough to talk on a microphone or be in front of a microphone. But this professor at Kent told me, when I finally raised my hand, even though I was a kid that always sat in the back, barely paid attention, showed up late, all that good stuff. I was that guy. I was like, I want to do radio. And he chuckled in front of the whole class. And like literally.
As people shaping young minds should
right.
when they reveal their dreams.
Right.
No fucking way. What you play to be?
Keep paying your money, dumbass. And he goes, are you ready to go to North Dakota or Iowa to do this? And I was like, and I remember like chuckling to myself. I was probably stoned. And I was like, what does that mean? And he was like, and he didn't mean it personally, but he meant like, number one, you probably haven't worked really hard at this class for 3 months. And for most people to get in this business, you have to travel around the country and you have to go the hard route to get on the air. And that's true. And I love podcasts now because it gives so many different people the outlet to do this and to be able to speak. But for me, it brought the athlete out in me, Joe, where I was like, oh, you don't think I can do this?
All of a sudden, all of a sudden, it's a competition.
Exactly.
It's not just doing what you want to do. It's proving the people that said you couldn't do it, or maybe you don't have the right, whether it be work ethic, mentality, personality,
exactly.
and what you just said. What you talked about sports versus doing kind of what you're doing right now, or kind of what we're doing right now. Sports, a lot of it is very instinctual. And we'll get into it, but Andre played pretty much every sport in high school, and he was good at all of them. He was that annoying motherfucker.
I was, but wait, stop. All right, here's the story I got to tell.
If he picked tennis, in 2 months, he would be the best tennis player on the team.
All right, stop. I got to do this.
All right,
because this is only how I can be comfortable doing this podcast, and I'm excited to do the podcast.
I thought you were going to take your shirt off.
But
I can only do this shirtless.
It's not as cold as you told me. You didn't say, you're like, hey, by the way, I was like, well, shit, I'm already driving. What other sweatshirts do I have?
We'd give you a loan.
You're fine. I got to tell this story, and I don't want to be all hunky-dory about it. I am over excited to come do this because Joe and his family have meant so much to me in my life, my entire life. But before I get all mushy, I told this story on my podcast to prepare for it. So Joe and I like played baseball together since we were like 8 years old.
Yeah.
Like we were all in the little leagues together, and we guys little league was fun. And we were kind of the better kids on the team or whatever else. And I remember we were about 12, and I got invited over to the Burden's house after we had gone somewhere because our parents, we carpool. Their parents did all the carpooling. My dad, they took me everywhere. I owe the Burdens. They tax me
Mileage?
for mileage.
Oh, shit.
Like there's at least a couple grand that I owe them.
And if my mom hears this, she's going to tally that up.
I love you, Patty. I'm sorry. I'll pay back in
Installments.
I'll
Very
need installment
small
plan.
installments.
They took me everywhere. I went everything. I know Garth Brooks because of the Burdens. I got friends in. I was in a Toyota 4Runner with them when I learned that song, and we listened to it. Always, and I was like, God damn, I got too many white friends. Anyway, not really. But, and this is like a moment that I'll never forget, and I'm 40 years old now. So I finally go over to Joe's house, and I knew Joe was he was a good athlete. He was a really good athlete. And I never played basketball against you, though. Like, I had played baseball with him forever.
That is true.
I had played baseball with him forever. He could hit the ball, run, all that other great stuff. So,
Everything that basically you have to do in baseball.
yeah, he could do that shit. He could catch it, run a little bit. You know, he could do all that shit at 12, from 8 to 12.
Yeah.
You know, if I was a scout, I was like, he was pretty good for 8 to 12. So, I go over his house, and...
We're off to a great start, by the way. That's the most compliments I've ever been gotten.
I don't go downhill.
On this podcast.
I gotta do that. But no,
Then he hit 13.
I just want people to know. And this is true. So I go to his house. We whatever kids eat or whatever. They're like, hey, you want to go out and play basketball? Hell yeah, let's go out and play basketball, white boy. It's like, in my mind, like, hell yeah, let's go out there and play. So we start shooting around, just messing around. I'm like, all right, he can make a couple jump shots. He's not bad. He's like, and then I remember he went into this is truly my white man can't jump moment. He went into, because when you're good at sports, there's an arrogance that comes along with it. Like, you don't even mean to be, but he finally looked at me.
It's confidence.
Like, yeah, he looked at me. He's like, you want to play 21? I'm like,
That was the game, though.
yeah.
That was the game.
So I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. 5 minutes later, I'm like, what the fuck did I sign up for? who is this white kid? Like, he wasn't Joe Burden, like, on my baseball team. He was hitting jumpers in my face. You want another one of those? And I'm like, who? And then I look and I see his dad, like, looking through the back window. I'm like, they set me up, these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, nobody told me this kid was he was this good. I remember, we got done, and I kind of made it close because, Joe had a natural jump shot. And
the Jesus jump shot.
He
We've
did.
heard of it.
He really, no, and I'm being dead, and I got no reason to kiss his ass.
Yeah.
He had the jump shot that every kid grew up wanting to have. Like, it was beautiful. And I remember, he white man can't jump me.
Okay.
So I ended up losing the game at 21, but I made it close because I was like, I had pride, and I couldn't go back and tell.
Yeah.
And not like I was from the hood.
Right.
But I was like, I ain't never had no white boy take it to me like this. Fuck this.
So, I clearly don't know you that well back in those days. I didn't even meet you then, but you have a story that's so similar to that. And I heard you tell this, like, LeBron had didn't he have a contest?
Oh, yeah. So LeBron, everyone knows this. Andre knows better than anybody. LeBron does so much for the community, and he does 1,000 times more that most people just don't even know about.
True.
He just dumps money in the community. He's not really even looking for publicity. He used to do this one on East Avenue, a 3-on-3 tournament, King of the Court is what it was called. Mm-hmm. And so me and two of my college friends decided to go play in this tournament. And it was 6 feet and under. We're like, perfect. Fucking 5'10".
I'm in.
5'10". My buddy's 5'8". My other buddy's 5'10". Like, man, this is fine. We can go do this. So we show up, and it's basically all the black people from Northeast Ohio, and then the three of us. And it was an awesome tournament because it was one of those tournaments, and it's more common now. But there's a guy on the mic the entire time
Talking shit
the entire
Yeah.
game. It's great. I was like, I've always wanted to be a part of one of these. I always have. This doesn't happen at the Y.
No, we didn't get that set up when we were coming up.
Like this is commonplace now, but it was kind of rare. This is shit.
It's probably early 2000s, maybe. 2000.
I was right out of college.
Yeah, it's
so
gotta be like 2003.
15, 16, 17 years ago.
Okay.
So we show up, we sign up, still pretty excited. My one friend's a little nervous because he's from Rootstown.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, why did none of us get that then, Andre?
Because Andre knows what Roostown is.
I know exactly where Roostown is. Andre don't drive there in the dark. Yeah. And I went to Kent State.
Yeah, there are some places more dangerous than the hood for certain people.
Okay.
So we ended up going there, and then we found out immediately that they did not stick to that 6 foot and over under rule because everyone we played was 6'4" and above.
So everyone's like,
I remember looking at the ref like
11.5.
The ref, I'm like, no fucking, this guy's like 6'4".
Right.
Every one of these guys are 6'4". He's like, play ball, son. All right, that's fine. So we ended up playing, and we ended up winning the first and only game because we never went back. Never went back. So we won the game, and no one thought. Everyone was just like laughing, and no one was sitting down. Everybody was at the edge of the. If you went out of bounds,
you ran into people.
If you ran out of bounds, you ran into 5 people.
Okay.
So we ended up winning. There was one move, and this was my and one big baller move that I wish would have been on YouTube, but no one fucking recorded it because it wasn't a thing.
Right, you didn't have phones.
I faked the jump shot, 3-pointer, just kind of put my arm up. The guy moved, then I faked to go around. The guy fell on his ass, and the entire crowd really let him have it. Shot at 3, made it. The game ended.
That white boy got your ass.
That's what it was. That's what it was. And then like this guy on the mic is grabbing my friend. He's like, we're laughing, having a great time, and then we're walking out. We're like, all right, we'll see you when we play next. And these guys were not happy that we won. By the way.
Oh, really?
The 3 guys we
so
beat.
They were
pissed.
one and done.
It's one and out.
Okay.
So one of these guys is clearly one of their friends. Came over to me, put his hand around my shoulder, and said, hey man, that was a really good game. I was like, thanks, I appreciate it. Then he turns me around and goes,
they want to fuck you up.
I don't remember the guy's name. Let's just say the guy's name was Brandon. He was like, hey Brandon, this is the white boy that fucked you up. Everyone started screaming, and I looked at my buddy, I'm like laughing off. I'm like, dude, we can't come back.
Start the car.
I thought those guys were really. We never went back. We're
Start the car.
We're like, this can't get any better. This cannot get any better. I don't want to come back here and whatever. This is our story. Let's leave. We're never going back.
So you guys, clearly, both you were talented. I mean, Joe, you're the only person I know that actually had LeBron James broke your records.
Yeah.
Too.
He broke mine too, motherfucker.
Okay. And I was gonna say,
that's all right.
Joe, where I was going with this is Joe said you were an incredibly talented athlete. Like it wasn't uncommon for you to get into a sport and easily.
Andre was the running back on the football team, the leadoff hitter on the baseball team. Decided to play basketball 2 games in the season.
But Joe crushed me by Joe. Like I was like, man, all these white boys must be good because
they weren't, and they weren't.
I got a great backbone of family. Like my father is my best friend still to this day. My mom and I are still around each other. But the Burton family they were my home away from home. Okay. I told somebody just a week ago that his mom was my second mom, and they played a huge part in the success of my life. I mean that because they took me in, they treated me. I was a part of their household. Like literally in the summer, like they did that for everybody. They didn't do it for me, but literally their family was so cool, man. And like they just like, if you were in with them, you were a part of like their family vacations. Like it wasn't a big deal for their dad to come home from work and like 8 of us would just be sitting around and he would be pissed. But it was like, if you didn't get kicked out, he was like, all right, I got to order another fucking pizza. Like, it wasn't, like, literally, like, it was like, all right, we're not getting 4 pizzas, we're getting 5. Andre's here. And like, but they opened, and I want to say this the right way because it means something to me. They opened eyes and avenues that I hadn't seen before, and they helped shape who I was. They really, truly did. They were the best. I would do anything in the world. If anybody in his family called me, I would stop anything in my world and do it because they were so important to who I am and what became of me.
I mean, that's awesome.
Jamie's going to call you in like a week.
I don't think her husband likes me.
Jamie's going to be like, I need you to move this couch.
I would move it, but her husband got mad at me one time about something on Twitter. And the Twitter is so, social
Twitter.
media. Oh my God.
Text him right now.
And by the way,
come on, Chris.
Facebook, you guys go back earlier. And I love you guys. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys know, I'm going to be a third part of this podcast now. You guys got fucking beer and a basement. All I gotta wear is a sweatshirt, and I get to just sit here and talk. Yeah. My kids are done, son. I leave Arizona a couple days. I'll be back like March 24th. I'll be back over March 25th. All right. So keep the schedule clean. April 6th, 7 o'clock at where was that place? They'll be there.
Yeah, Terrestrial Brewing.
Yeah. But I don't think people that are into. This is my opinion. I don't think people that are on Facebook No offense to the hard work you're putting in. I don't know if people on Facebook get podcast. And I'm not really a Facebook person. I don't know. Social media has fucked us up in so many different ways.
Oh, yeah.
And
bad.
I'll admit, I am like, there are times where I'll catch myself. Like I was just taking an airplane from Arizona back, and I was at the airport, and my wife was like, "Why are you texting? Just call." And I was like, "Oh, I'm reading." You know, like I wasn't doing it. It was mindless. It was just mindless. And I had spent 45 minutes, and I'm like, I remember like looking down, like, what did I just do for the last 45 minutes? And
Right.
literally,
Yeah.
I didn't get smarter. I chuckled a couple times,
Yeah.
laughed at a couple people, sent a couple memes to but it's so mindless, and I just think Facebook is just like, I don't
Probably
know.
the worst version of what you just described.
Yes,
Facebook.
right.
But I'm the same way because I'll be watching TV. I'll see somebody. I'm like, oh, I wonder what the fuck were they in.
Right.
Then I have to know what movies
Right.
and shows they've been in because I recognize them.
I've missed
and then
half
I'm
the
like,
movies.
oh, that movie was
Yeah.
good.
Right.
I wonder what kind of reviews it got.
I'm the worst.
Then I go to that.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. at
Joe, I'm the same. Like I've missed good parts of movies because I'm like, oh, I'm looking up when he was in and it's, but I don't even know how you break it. Like, cause like, I don't even know.
I
how.
think it's one of those things that like like at night you just gotta put it down an hour before you go to bed, stuff like that. It
Yeah.
just, I don't know. It's one of those things you just gotta make a and this is for us. Can you imagine?
No, being a kid.
Can you imagine being like my nieces and nephews who have lived with us their whole lives? What the hell? That's absurd to me to even think.
You know, I always come back to this example, and we all, the three of us sitting right here, had to deal with this, right? So when you were young and you found a girl and you were sweet on her and you wanted to call her, you had to work up the fucking
Absolutely.
nerve. You're
Dude,
like,
you had to talk to their parents.
exactly. You had to get.
And I had a deep voice at 14, and I was black, calling white girls.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
hi, can I talk to Celeste, please?
Seriously,
You're right.
That was
Yeah.
a real problem.
That was a
I thought
real-
I had it bad talking to girls. He had to convince parents he wasn't a 30-year-old black man
Right.
coming over to talk to their daughter.
And he's dead serious. So I would just end up back over to Burton's house, like, hey, you got no date this weekend? Nope. Like, everybody's afraid of me.
They're like, honey, why's your track coach here? Why is he saying you're going to a movie?
Your track coach is on the
Why
phone
is the
again.
track coach?
But like that was
This is not your date.
Yeah.
I think I work with this guy.
that was a real fucking deal.
It was.
You know what they do now? Pick up their
text.
phones,
Text,
fire
I'm
off
outside.
anything.
It's funny you say that.
Here.
Because I'm not the perfect person, but I try to go around because people think you say my name, like, oh my God, whatever. So I try to talk to high school kids, and I try to give back some way, because of
Yeah.
what his family
Yeah.
went. Like I try. So I was talking to kids at Manchester High School last week, and Manchester's another place I really wouldn't go if it was dark. I hope you Chesters are listening. I'm scared of y'all.
They
And
aren't.
I'm in this class, and I finally at the end, because I can just tell, and you can tell, because I remember what it's like being in class. Like for them, it was Friday, and they were like, "Oh, some asshole's coming to talk. I don't got to pay attention."
Yeah.
And I get it. That's cool, because like you just want to get one or two kids to like pick up on something. Like you get it. You're not gonna get a whole class. So at the end, I go, "Just do me a favor." I go, "Learn how to talk, look people in the eye, and say hello, and have a conversation." I go, "Just try it." I go, "It's not as difficult as you make it out to be," because I get around kids sometimes and I'm like, you guys have no idea just how, like we had to talk to people's parents. Like, you know, like we really had, like you had
Yeah.
to like go over their house and you had to like look them in the eye. And my dad was, if you couldn't do that, my dad was, our dads both
Dude,
were,
his dad would like put his hand, like his finger on your chin and lift it up.
yes.
Oh, really?
my
What
dad
are
was
you
very
looking
much-
at,
yeah,
son?
yes. And my dad
And you
was
think
like,
you think trying to talk to a parent's uncomfortable? Wait till he calls you out in front of your
right.
friends.
And he would do it and be like, no, you look me in the eye. Like,
Yeah.
and I hate to say this because nowadays it's frowned upon, but Joe and I had the dads that did not give a shit about like what was okay.
Nope.
Like if you were crossed the line the wrong way, they told you, like out loud.
Yeah, right.
Like out, you struck out again. You're like, I know, Dad. Thanks.
Yeah, I was there. I missed all three of
It
those.
was me. Yeah, I got it. But then our dads would like talk to each other, and it would like they'd be so normal.
Oh yeah.
They'd be just like people.
But like I feel like you gotta be that way. Like that. Like everybody's like, oh, and I'm like, I'm glad my dad was the way he was. He scared the shit out
Oh
of me.
yeah. It's a very. Oh yeah. Like I mean, there was no going to my dad or his dad saying, "Hey, Dad, that was really embarrassing."
No.
Because their answer would be like, "You must have me confused with someone who gives a fuck."
Yeah, exactly.
I don't give a shit.
No. And then like get your ass back up there and do
You know
it.
what's embarrassing? Watching you do that.
Yes. No, embarrassing
Yeah.
is having a son that I spent all this time and money on, and you can't make him a fucking ball to the outfield.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe you want to pay next month's tuition. I will treat you whatever the fuck I want.
Right. But we go back to high school, and I didn't play basketball my freshman year. Why? Because Joe embarrassed the shit out of me, and I thought every white dude that went to St. V played like Joe.
Right.
I was like, no, they don't need me. So I go to the first game, and I'm like, wait a minute. Joe is really good. These other motherfuckers stink.
Yeah, that stereotype of all white guys being good at basketball is not true.
Joe let that ride for like 8 months. I was like, man, but literally, I remember walking back, and I got to go back to that quickly. I remember going back, and people were like, so what'd you do this weekend? Or my dad was like, and I was like, I remember saying to my dad, because my dad had talked to his dad, and my dad was like, I heard you guys played a little basketball. And like I was embarrassed instantly, like because I felt like I had to go like report to my dad. Yeah, he kicked my ass. And I went to like the public school. I went to like it wasn't, and I'm not like it wasn't that bad. I went to a 50-50, but I played like we played like in the little league I played, and it was mostly black kids, and it was nobody like Joe.
Perkins,
So,
right?
yeah. No, I went to Litchfield.
Oh, no, Litchfield.
Yeah.
Litchfield, all right.
So, like, but you know, like Litchfield, we played against guys, but there was no one like Joe. Seriously,
Okay.
I'm not kissing his ass because I don't want to, and I'm not going
What the
to
fuck
anymore.
happened to you then?
Oh, it all fell apart.
No, it's called life.
Yeah.
It's called life.
Though I will say, if you put me in a bar with Papa Shot, the only thing I'm doing is beating that high score, and I'm not leaving.
Hey, I'll say this right now: if there's a Papa Shot, I will I'll take whatever's in my pocket, and I'll take him anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
That's
don't care.
I'll take
phenomenal.
him. I'm
If
serious.
I see a little kid enjoying himself and he scores 45, I will go over there. I'll get $20 worth of ones. I will sit there till I beat his score, and then I will take a photo and show his dad.
Yeah. Work with your son. Because of Joe Burton, this Christmas, I got a 4-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. We found a cheap Papa Shot, and this is this is the fatherhood at its finest. My wife was like, should we really get this? I'm like, hell yeah! And it's like a mini. It's like a mini, and I had to put it together. And I'm not real technical, and my dad would kill me for that because like I should be way better with, but I'm not. So Christmas night, knock on wood, you go around Christmas Eve, excuse me, go around to all the families, have a bottle of wine here, this. You get home, and my wife and I are like playing Santa Claus or whatever, and I've had a couple more because she does all the wrapping and she does everything. I just sit there and just. That's a good one, babe. And then finally she's like,
Great wrapping.
Yeah. I like when you put the smiley face on that one, babe. I knew I picked you for a reason. So finally she's like, Andre, you got to put that together. I was like, fuck. And it's like 1 a.m. And I'm like, no, this is bedtime. Sleepy time. She's like, no, the kids expect that tomorrow. Like, I was like, kids don't know what the fuck we got. Like, I hope no kids are listening to this, right? Like, man, Santa Claus is a bitch. If you don't got kids out there, I'm going to tell you.
I don't.
I'm telling you, parents. So it's 1 o'clock. I've had a half a bottle of wine,
Yeah.
couple, it's Christmas time, so I've tried like 4 different Christmas ales.
Oh yeah, you're flying.
You got to find out which one's the best one.
Well, there's so many options.
Right.
It's rude to not
It's
try.
rude not to know. So I've got a screwdriver. It's 1:15 a.m.
Okay.
And suddenly I'm mad that I'm a dad, and it's like it all came together to me. Why my dad was such an asshole. Like 50% of my life, I was like, yeah, I get it. I was like, he made all kind, and I couldn't think of the toys I got for Christmas. So I'm putting this Papa Shot. Finally, I get it together. It's a little mini thing, and it's not like the most expensive one, but like it's still like if you got more than 4 screws, and I got to flip multiple pages, and half the pages are like English, but then the other half they have them like in 18 different languages. I'm like, I'm not Venezuelan. I get people yelling cuss words in Spanish to me all year long, and I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I just know the cuss words. So I'm like literally like, so it gets down to like 1:45, and finally my wife is like, today, she's wrapped like 15 presents, and I got like a net hanging from the room. I'm like, there's a net on there.
It looks like a hoop.
Yeah, somewhat.
Trust me, honey, that's how hoops
Yeah,
look.
but like, and the whole other thing in the back of your mind, the nervousness. It's like the nervousness of sneaking in at home when you're a kid. Is like you just don't want your kids to wake up and see that Santa Claus is his dad fucking in his pajamas
Cursing.
with a beer, cursing, bleeding out of his thumbs because he can't
Oh,
screw stuff together.
you're 4 and 6, you said?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're in Santa face.
Right.
Yeah, they're in
so
Santa
they
face.
totally believe everything, So finally I get it to put together. And I'm like, and I want to like do a lap around the house, but I'm like done. Like literally I'm like, I got to go upstairs because the kids are going to find me laying underneath this thing. So the next day we have family over or whatever. And I thought this is a Joe moment. And like my nephews and kids, all the kids, they see it. And like they're all like, "Oh, I want to play the Papa Shot." Like that was the most popular thing on Christmas Day, and I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead." And I let the kids play, and then as soon as their moms aren't looking, I'm like, "Get me that ball!" And I'm dominating. Like I'm in my basement, just who's next? Who's next? Who's next?
Yeah.
And then all the dads are downstairs. Like literally, like every male is downstairs in the basement, and finally they're like, "We're celebrating Christmas." I'm like, "No, we got 20 on this game."
It's a Papa Shot. It's not
Right.
all of a sudden. Then the adults, because the adults are just like, yeah, I used to play ball. It's fun and the hoops and score. What was your score? I can beat that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, kids, go upstairs, get ice cream. I don't give a shit. Dad and his friends need to talk about this game. And then it just turns into a competition. I love the "I'm mad, I'm a dad." I'm probably gonna make that T-shirt for you. I'm mad, I'm a dad.
It happens.
And you can only wear it on Christmas.
I love my kids. I gotta put that on tape.
Oh, we can edit that. It's fine.
No, keep it all in.
So I want to circle way back.
Circle.
So Kent State.
Yeah.
You and this professor have this discussion.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, "I hope you want to travel the fuck all over Podunk America."
Right.
Joe and I were talking about this earlier today. I grew up in Youngstown, Ohio. I actually grew up.
God bless you.
Thank you. Actually, I'm gonna downgrade myself.
That's why. Yeah, he made it up, Joe.
Oh, way to go.
So I grew up in this little community outside of Youngstown, and it's called New Middletown. And it's called New Middletown because it is smack dab between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. It's such a cool fucking town, and I always thought it would make a cool ESPN 30 for 30 short.
Right.
Because you either grew up hardcore Pittsburgh or
Browns.
hardcore
And you're in the middle of
Cleveland.
it. Yeah.
So
You basically pick.
Right.
Yeah, I
we
mean-
do pick, and like you go to work with people, right? And it's like, oh, can't talk to him this week.
you have it is so unique in its fandom. Most people don't really understand what it's like when you live in an environment like that, where your next door neighbor's hardcore one way and you're the other, and you're
Right.
like, "Fuck you, no, fuck
Yeah.
you."
Without pulling a gun or knife on each other.
Right,
You know,
yeah, that shit
seriously,
doesn't-
like
yeah.
that's the best part about rivalries. And now people are
Yeah.
like killing. They're like, hey, settle down.
And this
Yeah.
is a rivalry that is, I mean, especially back then.
Yeah, it was real.
I mean, it's probably simmered down more. It's not maybe as, it's still a big deal, obviously,
Yeah.
but
It's a big-
it was
it's
no
more of a
joke.
big deal to us, unfortunately, Joe, than
Yeah.
like.
Oh,
I hate
yeah.
saying it, than like the
Yeah.
players or franchises, and that's a whole other conversation. So go, Matt. But
No.
I'll get back to that.
By the way, we can talk about that. I'm super passionate about that. But where I was going with this is, I didn't know your body of work. Like I knew people loved you, and I had gathered that you were really close to the Indians organization. You already mentioned the Cactus League. So how did you get from that conversation to where you are today?
Good question. Brian Windhorst, who's another person. Same thing. I know people hate us.
Windy.
Weird.
It is so weird.
I don't know. It is because
We've talked
not
about
even
him.
not even same school, same class,
Same classes.
and same
Like, yeah,
thing.
same-
We knew
same-
him
yeah,
in grade
right.
school. We played baseball
And
with him in grade
we've
school.
known him our whole life. And then he was at Kent too, and he lived above me. And like we never and I can say this now because I know we're old enough.
Yeah.
Like I know Brian way differently than that. We didn't really talk. He was different than us. His mom taught us sex ed, which was something else. That's a whole other story.
Different podcast, but a lot
Yeah,
longer,
way different.
A lot of pictures.
Not
All
all pictures. All
not
pictures.
one that I know I wanted to do.
So, but no, off the question, it was crazy because when I got to Kent, and I can remember when you went to John Carroll, I was there to play football, and I was told I could play baseball, but I'll admit, like the one good thing I think my dad he installed a lot of good thing my dad installed with me was to be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I got there, and there were 120 guys on the team. And shout out to Coach Corrigal. I know he's still around. He's a CFL Hall of Famer, but he recruited me there. And I'm not that big, and like I'm 5'8", I was fast, and then like I went out to one practice, and I went to a couple practices, and I was like, it was like 110 Division I teams at the time, and we were 109. And like I'm not the smartest person you'll ever have on this podcast, but I looked around and I saw the beating I was taking, and I was just like, I love playing, but I hated practice. Did it ever happen to you, like where it was like,
Oh, yeah.
I love the game, and I know you understand. Like,
Yeah.
game day was like, I lived for it, but like the practice was just like, and I was like, we're getting our ass kicked. Like we played like Randy Moss that year. We played like Georgia.
Marshall, yeah.
yeah, Marshall.
Yeah,
Like,
Marshall.
but like it was who's a big quarterback, the big fat quarterback for Central. He wasn't big fat. I should say Dante Culpepper.
I was gonna say
Like,
Culpepper, yeah.
Like, and I just had the honest like moment of I'm not going to NFL. But we had a bunch of Canadian football players on our team, which was crazy because Coach Corrigal, who was the coach that recruited me to Kent, he's a Canadian Football Hall of Famer. And he thought to circumvent the game at Kent State, I'll recruit a bunch of Canadian football players, because he had an in there, and he couldn't get the guys that were going to Ohio State or wherever else. And Jim Tressel was at Youngstown State at the time, and I almost went there, but when on my visit, some kid got shot that was taking me around, and my mom said I couldn't go there. like, all these are true stories.
That's when I was going there.
You probably shot the gun. So,
A beautiful town.
Beautiful town. Yeah. So it just hit me that, I went, and then what it's like in college, your first year, and everybody else around me. And I had a baseball player that was my roommate because I was going to play baseball too. And they were having the time of their life. Everybody remembers their first semester of college. And mine wasn't. Mine was getting up at 6 a.m. eating. They were trying to make me put weight on. It was like, let me just drink beer. Like, if we would have known what we known then, if we would have known what we known then. So
that's a really good point because football, you probably start practice
before
school even starts.
Yes.
So that first semester is not
the worst. It's the worst.
Baseball, basketball.
Yes.
That's
Joe,
very different.
You're dead on.
Yeah.
So everybody's having the
That's
greatest,
a great point.
the greatest time of their life. I'm waking up at 6 a.m. eating mashed potatoes at 7 and going to work because they're trying to get me to gain weight. Literally to gain weight, they're putting me on like a 5 program. They're like, you're fast, but you got to put weight on. And I'm like, okay, like you don't have a choice. Like, so you're like, you're doing it. And like, I'm coming home at 5 p.m. and I'm looking at my roommate who's a pitcher on the baseball team. And he's like, there's like a bong in the corner. There's like, and I'm like, and like, there's a guy that made it in major leagues that was from our group. And I'm looking around and like, and I remember my dad being like, are you happy? And I'm like, no, I'm miserable. And like, it was the worst moments of my life. But at the same time, you have that thing hanging over you. This is what people expect of you. And that sucked because I hung on way longer than I should have. So to move forward, I knew I kind of wanted to do this, but I didn't have the balls to like walk away and do this. And then there's Brian Windhorst, he was writing about us in our senior year. I'll never forget. I had a good game against Massler or someone, and we're driving in the car. And my dad like kind of flips the paper. He's like, "This is a nice article about you." And Brian Windhorst is like the name on the fold that wrote it. And like and we're all still in school together.
Yeah.
So when I like stopped playing sports, I finally got the nerve. The coach got fired, and the new coach called me. I was on my back deck like in the summer. My dad had gone out of town or whatever, and the coach called and he was like, "Hey, you're on scholarship. You don't know me. I didn't recruit you, but if you want to play, we need you to come to summer school next week." And I flippantly, dumb 19-year-old, just without thinking, he caught me at the wrong time, right time actually, and I just said, "Sir, I don't want to do summer school. I want to go to school still, but I don't want to play anymore." And like and even it's hard to say even like right now. Yeah, it is. Because Joe hit me like a ton of bricks because that was what my whole life was leading up to that. And like I literally had to say, I don't want to do that.
So and I think this can probably be for anybody. Take the sports aspect out of it. When you get to college, especially like if you're coming from our high school wasn't big, 800 people, wasn't big. We knew a lot of the same people from grade school to high school.
Our whole lives, right.
You get into college and then you start getting exposed to different people from different races, creeds, religions, all over and then you start getting exposed to other. That's what happened to me.
Me too.
Is that when I was playing basketball, and I already knew going into college I wasn't going to go pro. But I mean, I still like playing. I like the games, but with every passing month, I started hating it more and more because then I'm in college, and I'm not just talking about the part. Everyone likes to party in college, but then I started getting into music. I started getting into other stuff, all this other things that I wanted to kind of explore and do, and for lack of a better phrase, basketball would get in the way of that.
I know you have no time.
It would get in the way, especially during
right.
season. So, and it wasn't taking a lot of my time, but even then, my mind was already not there anymore. And prior to that, my mind the entire time, all the time, I was playing basketball year round up until college. But then you just start getting into other things, and then it's more not a pride thing, but like you said, like people expect. Like I was like, God, what if I stop playing? What are people at home?
I feel like you let
think?
people down.
Yeah,
right. And when you walk away, so long story out of that, like my parents were actually like kind of cool. Like my mom, like it's funny because my mom never wanted me to play football because she's a mom, and my parents were out of town when I decided this, and so they come home. And my mom was like, "You're on scholarship. You can't do that. You got it." And I'm like, "You've yelled at me for 19 years. Like, you don't want me getting hit by people." I finally say it, and you lose your mind on me.
And my dad
like came up to the line of scrimmage like Tom Brady or Peyton Manning and was just like, "Hey," he said he still wants to go to school.
Right.
That's the important.
That's the win.
Right.
That's
That's
the win.
my dad was like, he
Yeah.
wants to go to school. We'll figure it out from there.
Yeah.
But I'll admit, I was a little embarrassed. I can say it now. I was embarrassed because I took it as I was a failure. Like, like when you walk away and like when people say, like, people are like, oh, you're going to do great things there. And it was like, well, I'm not going to do great things at what you thought I was going to do great things.
Even
Yeah.
if this maybe even kind of applies, and I think it does, but people even now will still say something to me like, "You still play ball?" Like,
Right.
No,
Right.
I'm 41.
Right.
I don't even own a basketball.
But
I barely watch it on
this.
TV.
Watch this. Hey, you're right. But if we had a free throw shooting
I'd kill everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. See, that's what I like, and that's still like the thing that drives like,
And you know what he would do? Line up next to me, like, go. I'm
Yeah,
next.
I would absolutely. And I would think, but I'm not gonna let him think he's gonna win. I would absolutely do it, but I'm not like, you change, you evolve, I guess is the word.
Yeah.
So in evolving, I went around Kent and like you said, it wasn't even partying. It was just like hanging out with different people and meeting different people. And like you said, we didn't go to a big school. And I wasn't that far away, but it was cool to meet people, and even it was just cool to just meet other people that had complete other interests.
You're far enough away where you feel like
Yeah.
you're in a different,
You're in your own world.
You're in a
You're
different world, and you're meeting new people left and right. You're meeting people you never thought you would hang out with in a million years.
So your freshman year ends, sophomore year coming up.
And
you
I
decide I'm done with football.
Yeah, and I'm happy as but the thing is though, I have no borders. You know what I mean?
Okay.
For the first time.
Oh yeah, you don't have a regimen.
I don't have no.
Yeah.
For the first time in my life, and because I moved away from home, parents, they text and call. They didn't even text at the time.
Right.
Just called. And you can blow them off, So I just had a good time, and I got through my sophomore year, and I got like halfway through my junior year, and your parents were like, "So what are you gonna do?" You get that, I'm figuring. But then I didn't have when you play sports, they've got tutors and everybody else, and they kind of dictate your schedule and what classes to take, and I was rudderless, I had no clue.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a writer. And it goes back to Brian Windhorst, is why I brought him up. Well, Brian Windhorst is the best writer in the freaking world already. And to me, it goes right back to the competition thing. It goes right back to, I know I'm not that good. I
Okay.
could admit that. I'm like, man, I don't know. I know vowels, I know verbs. I can't, what pretense? Fuck you. I can tell a good story. I don't need all that bullshit.
I still don't know what a semicolon is.
Yeah. Did I use that right?
Right.
I still do that to this day. So I wanted to do it. I took an AP writing class, and it was the most nerve-wracking moment of my life because of all those rules. And I wanted to write. Because I like telling stories. To get to the end point, I think anybody can be a good storyteller. I like to engage in that because everyone has a story. Those are fun. And Terry Pluto, who happened to write about me a little bit in high school, knew me.
Big in the plane dealer.
Yeah.
He did a lot of Akron
He was a huge Akron
guy.
Yeah.
So
Real good writer.
great writer. Still
Yeah.
writing today. I kind of reached out in a backwards way of I was lost. I wanted to be a writer. And he said what every white guy says to a black guy that can put 8 sentences together. You speak very well.
Oh,
Then I get I'm saying that in a funny way. And he was
But they do pull us
I was
aside
like,
and say,
I was like, it's
if a
Lee
black guy
Trevino
approaches
all
you,
over
say
again.
that. Yeah, we learned that in fourth. It's a
Yeah.
different class.
You
They
speak
separate us
very
and they tell
well.
us in 4th grade.
So he said that, but he said it, and he's like, he wouldn't even get the joke. I was like, dude, and I remember mumbling to myself, motherfucker, I didn't call you for that. But
Thanks, Terry.
Yeah, it's not what I asked for.
Andre happy with answer.
I'm already at the bottom of the barrel. I don't need your help. Man. I called you, all right? You don't have to kill me.
Say more nice words.
And visual joke.
Jesus Christ.
So he reached out, and he knew someone at a television station. It was Sports Channel at the time. He knew someone at 8:50 a.m. radio station. Helped me get internships because the one thing that I was taught was hey, people love, and it still goes to this day, people love talking about themselves or having somebody, and that people love free work, free labor. And I was open, and I knew I wasn't gonna be Brian Windhorst. I knew I wasn't gonna write in the paper. There's too many rules. I'll just be honest. I was like, I want to do something because I said I want to play sports. I remember a doctor looked at my knee. He's like, "You're not getting any taller," and he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Damn, thanks, asshole. You can tell just from that."
Thanks for the scoop.
Yeah, way to push my. So I went and interned at 8:50. Kept taking classes, And I was hired before my last semester at Kent. I got hired, it wasn't sexy, but I got hired at 8:50, running a board overnights on Saturday and Sunday nights.
No kidding.
Friday and Saturday nights.
That's a common starting point, though,
Yeah.
for what you do
And
now.
and
a lot of
it was-
people, you got to pay your dues.
And Joe, it was the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Like I was literally making $8 an hour. I had to deliver pizza. But I was at that point because I didn't want to let my parents. It goes back to, and I can admit this freely. I didn't want to let my dad down, and my dad's whole thing always was like, "You got to be successful. What are you doing to be successful?" Like and I was like, "Well, I'm trying." But like when you're like 22, you're like you don't even know what success is or what happiness is. So I did that, and I literally took phone calls for a fishing show. And, it's funny. You can
No
laugh.
way.
It's funny as shit. Because the guy didn't even acknowledge me. And it was like 7:00 in the morning on Sundays. And you know what everybody else is doing at 22, 23? And I'm answering phones for a fishing and hunting show. And they're talking about lures and shit I ain't never heard. And I thought I was like, they may shoot me. And I did that only because the NFL pregame show came on after. And that was I was like, well, maybe these guys will let me hang out around. And
I'm sorry. We have to go back to the
go
fishing.
back. Go ahead.
What the fuck would you tell these guys when they called in?
Oh, I want to talk about the time I was on Lake Erie and I caught a sea bass.
And you'd be like, what was your response?
Yeah. I'm like, okay, Timmy, where you at, Timmy? I'm on the way to the, it was, Joe, it was a Saturday Night Live skit. Literally, there were a couple times I sat there and I looked around this wall or this room and I was like,
Am I really here?
what did I sign up for?
Yeah.
How did I do that?
I made it.
Yeah, it wasn't sexy.
Here's you.
At
Well, you know
all.
what?
Dad, I know you've
That's
been waiting for success.
Yeah, it's here.
Let me tell you.
Hold on,
Right.
Timmy's calling again. But you know what? But that is. I think that's a very good story for people. I think it's a really good story for people nowadays to hear, because at 22, you're out of school. You're doing this as a job. You just said that you're doing a second job to support the first part of your job to get to where you want to be. That's, a lot. It's fun to joke about, to joke around about now, of course, because it is fucking funny. But that's work ethic. That's putting your head down and pushing through that shit. No one wants to do that.
No.
Nobody wants
No.
to do that. But you have to do that.
And we all know- right.
None of us came out of school making $80,000 a year.
And Joe, you know
you
what
have to put it somewhere.
But you guys both know what it's like, though. There's always that one asshole that you went to college with that's bragging about selling pharmaceuticals or something.
Yeah.
Going to Vegas 3 times a year, and you're like,
Yeah.
he's like, so what's up with you? And I'm like, I just barely am out of my dad's house.
I'm just trying to get you to pay for this pizza I dropped off.
yeah, right. Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
I had a college roommate, and I have nothing against him except I don't like him. But but he was
Fair.
I knew when we were juniors, this kid was going to come out of school making a lot of money,
Right.
and I still didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right. Same.
And right off the bat, he was making a lot of money, and he'd be like, "You want to go do this?" I'm like, "No,
I'm broke.
let's go to Olive Garden and then dine and dash." That's what I can afford.
You didn't want to dine and dash to somewhere good. Isn't that how low now?
Yeah. It's like one day I may want to go there.
Right. I might have to go
But
back.
that's one of the things that he and I kind of rail on a lot is that we run into younger people that just can't do that. Just can't do that anymore.
You guys know how many kids come up to me and say, I want your job. And I chuckle. I go, yeah, sure.
All the time.
And then they ask the question, and I tell them, and then they give me this weird look like I stink. Because when you tell them, I did work for free. I got a guy that still owes me a couple grand because and I won't say his name, Paul Belfi, you asshole motherfucker, stick a knife in your fucking neck.
I'm gonna look him up right now on Instagram. I'm looking you up, Paul. You better be offline.
That's a true story.
You better be offline, Paul.
He came up this great idea for internet radio, and it was great and he used me, right? And I'll tell these stories because this is a part of where I'm at in life. He knew that I went to St. V, and this is when LeBron was at St. V. And he knew that I could go back there. And,
Sure.
and I didn't take it. I was still, at 22, 23, I was embarrassed where I was at in life. To be completely honest, I didn't want to go back there and be like, yeah, I'm part-time at the radio station delivering pizzas on the weekend.
Yep.
But that was my life. And you don't have... I met this guy who had this tremendous idea. And the idea was tremendous. He was just a piece of shit person and didn't know how to take it, all the steps. And he came up with the idea to broadcast LeBron's in St. V's basketball games over internet radio. He made a marriage with 850 AM because it was brilliant. Every radio station is based upon, and every radio station is based upon doing podcasts, which I love that you guys are doing. But at the time when this happened, This was obsolete.
It's not a thing.
It wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
So he used me to get him into St. V so he could have rights to do St. V's basketball games on internet radio. Now, I didn't get paid what I was supposed to get paid. That piece of shit. Paul Belfi, piece of shit.
I'm still listening.
Hold on. Spell his name so we know.
B-E- But I'm saying this, though, to go off of what you're saying, Joe. I got screwed, but I didn't get screwed because I had an opportunity to be behind a mic. I got an opportunity to do games. I got an opportunity to be.
Yeah.
I didn't get paid what I was told I was going to get paid. But it prepared me and it showed me the steps that it took. Now, mind you, I was, like you said, hey, let's go out to drink. And I'd be like, yeah. I'd drink like 2 Miller Lights and like start looking left and right. And be like, either I'm going to steal the next one or I got to go. Either way, this is our deal.
It's like there's nickel. You gotta find nickel beer night. It's like, yeah,
Right.
we'll go there every night.
Every night.
Yeah, that's
so
the thing.
That happened, and I and K&R let me be on the radio a little bit more. They let me produce a show. They let me do the Browns post game show when Butch Davis's last year. And
Do you remember the first show you did? The first time you were on the mic.
Oh, I was awful.
Well, but I
remember,
mean, so I guess my thought is everything that you kind of had to go through the shadiness, all the hard work, all the fishing questions,
Right.
and then finally they put a mic in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what's that like?
I was on cloud nine.
Yeah,
It was on cloud nine, but then the reality hit.
So
You're like, oh shit!
still answering fishing questions.
Yeah, you need a lure, you need a little worm.
so the first. So I want to make sure I want to corral this a little bit. So
Okay.
I love that question. I want to answer that. But was it the Browns post
It was
game?
the Browns post game.
Okay.
During Butch Davis's last season.
Okay,
So much so
okay.
I wouldn't call him Butch. I thought I knew it all. I had to figure I was a smart ass.
Sure.
I talked down to him like I knew more football than him. I didn't. This is what all the assholes do on the radio now that they shouldn't do, because you don't have nearly the amount of information that we think we do. Because I didn't have the background. I hadn't gone to locker rooms. I hadn't done certain things. I didn't know them, but I just went off. I was a fan, which I watched the games they suck. And then I'm going to tell you for 3 hours why they suck.
Yeah.
So I got, and it did feel good. And then I got a promotion. I got to be a producer. Didn't make a lot. And lo and behold, out of nowhere, after just that couple of years, News Radio WTAM 1100, a guy that was doing the Browns, he was a Browns beat reporter. His name was David Kelly. He had bought me a couple beers because he probably felt bad for me in the years beforehand. And he told me, he was like, hey, man, I'm leaving to go do baseball. I think you should give a call and try out for my job.
Wow.
I called on my birthday 15 years ago. The program director goes, how did you know about this job? And I told him, he was like, I can't talk to you about it yet. And I was like,
Okay, it's not out yet.
Yeah. But it was dude, he ended up hiring me though.
Great.
And then I'll tell this part quickly and we'll move on. So I got hired as a Browns beat reporter. I was supposed to be their beat reporter. Casey Coleman, who people in Cleveland probably remember the name, who was a legend. He was a Browns sideline reporter at the time. He came down with cancer halfway during that next Brown season. I get a call from my boss when I'm in Berea covering the Browns, and it says, "Hey, this weekend Casey can't do the game, and you're the next man up to do sideline." I had never done sideline reporting my whole entire freaking life. Mike Snyder, who was the world to me, nicest guy in the world. I was sitting with him at the Browns game the week before, Joe, and he looked at me and he goes, "You know the hardest job out there?" And, I'm like, "No." I'm hungover, just like, yeah. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Sideline. You got to prepare, and you don't know when they're going to come to you and what they're going to say." And literally a week later, I'm on the Browns sideline, and I had to wear baggy pants because I was just shaking, because I remember being like,
Oh my god!
that's a true story. So I had that job for 6 years. I do that job, and I saw a lot of bad football, and I can tell a lot of great stories, and
we saw some of the similar football.
yeah, you watch.
Yeah, just no one asks us questions about it.
Yeah. So you know what it's like going to the head coach after you got your head pounded in 8 games in a row? So, coach, what was the problem today? We got no players.
Where'd it go wrong?
Yeah. So I randomly see Brian Windhorst. I can't remember where. And he's like, "Man, I'm proud of you." And by this time, he's like, he goes, "Dude, with your age and where you're at, you're gonna have that Browns job as long as you are. You're gonna be the voice of the Browns." I'm like, "Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. It's good to see you." Eric Mangini didn't really agree. Brian put the whammy on it. So lo and behold, Eric Mangini, another guy that goes into Paul Belfi's sleeve. Fuck you.
I think we can all spell that one out.
I think he's online. He tells like all the players, don't talk to Andre. And if you guys know me and Joe knows, I don't fight with anybody. I like to get along with people. I like to laugh. I like to have a good time. But I respect your job. And I would never go up to a Browns player during a game and just randomly be like, hey, what do you think of the weather? Hey, that guy really knocked the shit out of you. I wasn't that guy.
Right.
But I think the guys knew me, so they would just come up and bullshit with me just during a game. And Eric Mangini hated that. To Eric Mangini, I was planting a flag on his staff.
Shit.
It was you're the sideline reporter. You just shut up and do your job. And I'm like, okay, cool. So he told me before the last game of the season, and I haven't told this story much. I just start telling this story because I'm at a place in life where I don't mind telling it.
Okay.
So he tells me before the last game of the season, he goes, hey, I don't like you talking to my players during games. And I'm like, okay. I was like, no problem. And I started to try to explain to him that I don't go up to them and talk to them. And I was like, okay, no problem. He was like, we really got to change that problem. And I'm like, oh shit.
Oh, so he's pissed.
Yeah. So last game of the season, I do my first report, and literally, I'm standing in the end zone, fuck. So Phil Dawson kicks off. I'll never forget this. This is the God honest truth. I'm standing on the 25-yard line. Phil Dawson and Josh Cribbs, who I can consider both friends today, even though this isn't very friendly. They come up, and one goes on the left of me, one goes on the right of me, and they put their arms around me. And they're like, so what do you think about the game? And I go, get the fuck. And I literally go, get the fuck off me. and they go, oh, he told us, screw him. Yeah, this is a true fucking story.
That's those two guys.
Yes.
Let's go get Andre in
Yes.
trouble.
They come off the field and they literally go, and they're standing with me and they're like, dude, you're one of us. Just you're cool. I was like, I'm going to get fired. Get away from me.
And this isn't a second string.
Right.
The backup punter is Josh Cribbs.
And Phil Dawson.
And I said, I'm not you.
Everyone, right?
I'm not as secure as you
Right.
are.
And literally, they put their arm around me and I get the glare. And Mary Mangini sees this and I'm like, stop! 6 weeks later, they didn't fire me right away, the dicks. They waited 6 weeks out of nowhere. And they're like, hey, we're going to replace you. And I'll never forget. And this is the lesson. This is one of the toughest lessons I learned in my life. I got called by a superior. It was how business works now. It all runs downhill. Mm-hmm. So the guy before the guy goes, hey, I just want to tell you thank you for all the great work you've done. You've done a great job. You've matured in this job. We really appreciate what you've done. Are you gonna be around in the next 30 minutes or so? Because I won't say this person's name. Because blah 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 is gonna call you to set up everything going forward. I'm like, oh, okay. And mind you, at this time I'm 32. I'm getting ready to get married. I finally decided I thought I could do that. Because I finally had enough money to kind of eat and drink and have a home. And I get a call 30 minutes later as I'm driving with my nephews in the back seat, and they tell me, hey, we're gonna go a different way. And they wouldn't tell me why,
but you knew.
I knew why. I knew why. And I'll never forget. I had it I had tears in my eyes, but I couldn't cry because I got my two nephews behind me, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to play basketball." And I'm just like, "Ah." Yeah. And I remember I got to my dad's house. I remember I was like, "Why are we going to Grandpa's house?" And I'm like, "Shut up and go eat ice cream." And I went to my dad, and I'm in the garage, and I'm like, "Dude, they just fired me," and it crushed me. And my dad goes, one door closes, another one opens, flippantly, but he could tell I was it was oh shit, he's.
Well, that's a dad response when his son, who is an adult man but is still his son,
right,
comes to him with a problem. You can't talk to him like a kid because, like you said, now it's adult stuff with adult problems and adult repercussions. So he has to say, you're going to be just fine. Don't worry about it, and kind of play it down.
Yes.
My dad would do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But in my heart of hearts, though, I couldn't even face people.
For sure.
It goes all the way back to when I said I wasn't going to play football anymore. It goes all the way back to...
That doesn't really die, really.
No, it goes all the way fuck. And you don't want to make your job or your career your crutch of who you are and what you are, but it is a little bit of who you are and what you are. And, it is.
Like it or not.
Right.
It's how you make your living. Yes. It's how you support your family. It's how you do everything.
Absolutely.
So... I know that it sounds a good thing to say, like, my job doesn't define me, but unfortunately, it kind of does.
Kind of does.
It has to for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
The best
Unless
thing
you're Josh
about
Cribbs.
What's up, Dre? I'm like, get off me. I'm like,
Yeah. So I assume you talked to Josh Cribbs right after that. And he was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
dude, my
No,
bad.
Josh is like, hey, he's like, I'm working out. Let me call you back. I'm like, no, I can't say anything bad about Josh. Josh is a tremendous. I can call him right now. I'll try to get him on your podcast. I'm being dead serious.
I would fucking
I'm like, they got
love
no
that.
friends.
Well,
They're
let's
not funny.
depend-
Josh, come on.
Hold on. I mean, depending on the day, I don't know.
Wait,
I don't want to just throw anyone on
Yeah.
here.
He's like,
Wait,
April 6th, we're busy, but this.
the best part about this story is,
That story had everything.
well, no, may I tell you
All
what
right,
I
fine.
think?
It didn't have nudity. My bad.
Hey, that shit.
The best part about this story is, as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and my absolute white hot seething disdain for the Cleveland Browns,
I was a Steelers fan that day.
I like them even less now.
They're
Who would've
different
ca-
now, but yeah.
So how long after
Okay.
that was Mangini finally gone?
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't have been long.
I got to tell you, I'm glad. You set this up perfect. I've never rooted against the Browns. But goddamn it, that next year, man, I would come to the stadium. I'd come to the stadium like, oh, you guys are favored to lose by 15. I'd go to post games and be like, oh, you still lost without me, huh? Hey, I'm still back here, dick. Like, I hate you.
Hey,
Like,
one door closes, another
no,
opens. Don't worry.
Yeah. But at the same time, though, like financially, like things had changed. But I'd gotten opportunities to do other things, like STO, who I work for, like Fox. They had hired me to do like TV shows on the Browns. I was working full time. I was maturing to different parts of my career, I guess.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it though. Like it was like the first time I went to Brown Stadium and didn't have that job. It was hard.
Oh, I bet.
Like I literally sat in my car for like literally like 10 minutes and like kept just being like, I can't do this. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
like literally to the point where I called my wife and was like, I think I got to start a new career. And she's like, what? I was like, I can't face these people. I was a loser in my mind.
Yeah.
I was a loser. And then I kept doing other stuff. And Joe Tate, who was tremendous because, and I got great Joe Tate stories. He told me before one Cavs game, I was sitting up there and he goes, you know, Andre, you're not really in this business till you get fired from a job.
But
And
isn't that true?
Yeah. But he told me, he goes, that's when you find out if you're really meant to be in this business. He goes, when you get fired and you don't deserve to be fired, he goes, you're good. And like Joe Tate, like, and it took him for me to get fired to say I was good. Thanks, Joe. But that's like, Joe's from the same cloth as our fathers.
Yes.
That's all you need to know. And he was like, you're
I feel
good.
like I already know him.
Yeah. You know, yeah. He was right. You know exactly who he is. And he literally said, he goes, you're good. You're talented. He goes, this is how the business works, unfortunately. He's like, and if you can't deal with it or handle it, go do something else. He goes, but you don't know it until you lose something that means something to you.
It's funny to even kind of hear that, especially obviously Patrick are not in that realm due to politics. We could do it. Yeah. But but I mean,
hey, anybody can do it. No.
but Patrick and I get fired from a job. It's because we're not good at it. Right. You didn't get fired from a job because you weren't good at it.
No.
You got fired from a job because of politics. And quite frankly, my opinion, I'm sure it's accurate. Mangini knew things were not going well.
Right.
Does not want players going to a reporter.
Exactly.
Talk because in his mind, even though you weren't building a case against Mangini,
No.
what the fuck do you care
My
who the coach
job is built upon getting along with those
Yes,
motherfuckers.
exactly. But in his mind, he's like, I can't have players talking to a reporter off record because
Right.
God knows what they're like. Because then it turns into what it is now. Sources close to the Browns say
right. And like
Yep.
I can tell, you're right. And like you don't get it at that point. But the funny part is everything I got fired for is what the Indians wanted. Like, you know, like when I got hired, like when it was like time for the Indians job, it came around. I had other opportunities to do other things. They were like, well, we kind of want. Jim Donovan came to me. I can't. Jim Donovan's a very good guy. He's been very big about his career.
it's fucking hilarious to hear you talk about these people.
I
that
know.
I
This
know.
is like,
Yeah,
Oh, you know,
I
Jim Donovan,
I
like,
know
the guy
these
from
people.
TV.
Yeah, the guy. Well, Jim Donovan, when the Indians started on STO, and they said they wanted to use an in-game sideline reporter, I was doing the Browns games, and Jim Donovan was like, Andre is the best person to do that job.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was like, hey, you should go interview for the job, and I thought he was just getting rid of me so I wouldn't be in his way during football games. Probably true. I was like, no, I'm good. Because, you know, like, I was like, so when this all came around and the job opened back up, I was like, hey, I know you guys are interested in me 4 years ago, can I try out again? And they were like, do you really want to do this? And it started off, I was going to do like, I was going to do pregame, and because my wife didn't want me to take it. This is the other thing. My wife, she saw what I went through with the Browns, and she saw just like how it mentally
beat you down.
It beat me down.
Yeah.
It made me not a nice person. Like I was in a funk. And her mom, of all people, was like, you got to let him take this chance to find out who he is and where he's at. So we did it because my wife, and I'll do this quickly, my wife owns her own business working with kids that have autism and working kids that have special needs. She's got a nonprofit. Like, she's the star in our household and what she's doing. And she's built this career. She's like over 10 years. She didn't like how they treated kids at the Cleveland Clinic. She walked away.
That's awesome.
With nothing. And she started her own thing. And to her, she was like, and I always say, like, when she makes enough money, I'm retiring and I'm just driving the van. Like, I'll just drive kids around.
I think that should be all of
our
goals.
Yeah. And you guys
she makes enough money, we all drive.
Yeah, we all are in. Everybody, you guys are in.
Shift changes. We can all drive all the time.
Yeah, we'll do podcasts all day long.
Yeah. Oh, shit. That is the goal.
Yeah. It really
What's the name of the organization?
Rec to Connect. REC, the number 2, Connect. Check it out, rec2connect.org. She does great work. And for her, like, she was like, I'd rather, and like, you know, like, it's hunky dory to say it, but she was like, I'd rather us be broke or I'd rather us not have as much money to have you halfway happy.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like, she's like, I've seen you at both, and I'd rather us be, you know, like, and her mom was like, well, you got to let him take this chance. And lo and behold, going into my 6th season, I won a couple Emmys now.
Congratulations.
I've had other opportunities to do other stuff now. I'm in a really good place, even if the Indians and Terry Francona tells me to fuck off tomorrow. And he won't. He'll tell me that, but I can still come to the games. I'm in a good place, and that just to round it up, that's kind of how everything has happened.
But I mean, man, what a journey. Between the two, what are you more in love with? Your career having been with the Browns, your career having been with the Indians?
It's obviously the Indians because I was able to be at a World Series in Wrigley Field.
I wanted to ask about that, actually.
And honestly, I knew you loved both and enjoyed both.
But you knew that because you know me.
Yes. And I can also kind of tell the way that, like, the videos that you post, the interactions you have with the team. I mean, that's just, it's a job, but it ain't really a job.
Joe, I just said that Saturday. It's crazy because I sat down Saturday because I was just in Arizona this weekend just to do one game. And I sat there and it was like the 2nd inning. And I'm being completely honest. I haven't said this to anybody. And I literally I looked left and right, and I was like, holy shit, they're paying me to do this. I know, right? like literally, I'm sitting with Francisco Lindor, and he's like, dude, he goes, you lost some weight in the offseason. Like, we're just bullshitting.
Yeah.
He's like, where's you? Like, and I'm like, they're paying. And I'm like, hold on. And I go, hey, Frankie, hold on, man. I got to talk real quick. And I'm telling Lindor, hey, shut up, man.
You're putting Lindor on hold.
I'm like, I got to
get out of my personal space.
Yeah,
I'm in the middle of
they're about
something.
to put the shot on me if you want to be in my shot. Or get the hell out the way.
What's your name again?
Yeah.
Frank? What is it?
Joe, it's unbelievable. Like, it literally is.
You can tell by the way that you post just everything you're posting. Like the video, there are things you post on Instagram that are videos that almost look like outtakes.
Yeah,
but of just you and the other guys and the guys on the team. It's very obvious that you're enjoying what you're doing, and I think that's good. And then I'm
overblessed. And I'm not real religious, but I don't know how this all happened.
I don't know how much time you have with us.
I got time.
Good, because
I'm here now. I'm gonna get another beer. Go ahead.
I'm loving this. No, what I'm going to do is we're actually going to
part
pause.
2.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do part 2, assholes.
Yeah.
On the next one, when we come back, I'm going to talk about buttholes. Not really, but you got to come back to see.
Well, I was going to take a break, and I think Andre just did it for us.
All right, we'll come back and talk about assholes or just buttholes. I don't know which.
Bubbles. Oh, we're doing it magic tour. I just want to show you my typical text messages back and forth with Terry Francona.
Okay.
So that's what I send him on Wednesday. You can show it up too.
So ugly adults, dads that basically tell you where you're going to play basketball on Sundays. That's what we're coming back into.
Keep going, Pat. Yeah, go say it. If you repeat this, I'm gonna break your computer.
No, I'm not gonna say a word.
So as funny as this is, obviously, like when you said that you would come on.
Yes.
Like, for me, it wasn't really the sports. It's funny because for me, it wasn't the reason that everyone else was like, that's awesome. because everyone else knows you as a sports guy. I've known you since third grade.
Right.
And I was like, I don't even really watch sports.
Exactly.
So I don't really know what to talk about. So I'm glad we didn't really talk about like actual sports. But I did have a couple like actual sports oriented questions for you.
So let's
'Cause
talk
they're-
sports.
They're the only things that I actually know. One, obviously, the Baker Mayfield thing was pretty actually fucking awesome.
yeah.
So the reason that I thought it was awesome is because the Browns have always had the same problem for the last couple of years. They don't know which quarterback to ever go with, and they don't know when to switch. I'm not saying that I do, but it's always a scenario where they're like, no, put Manziel in. No,
Right.
put Hoyer in. It actually worked out fucking perfectly this year where,
It's a perfect storm.
what's his name actually?
Baker,
No,
the coach, who?
No, he's talking about
who's the first quarterback? Fuck, I forgot.
Oh, Taylor.
Taylor.
Yeah.
So Taylor got a concussion.
Right.
They didn't have a choice, had to put Baker Mayfield in, and everything worked
So
out
I feel
perfectly.
like, see, you know sports. I feel like it worked perfectly. And I know there's fans who are, we would have made the playoffs. No.
No.
No, in life, you have to sometimes and I characterize sports with life a lot because it's what I've known and what I've done my whole life. And in this society, we're so quick to push things and make them happen before they're ready to happen. And I feel like the Browns thing happened perfectly with Baker Mayfield because of what you just because it
Perfectly.
naturally happened.
They didn't have to. The decision was made for
Right.
them,
And,
and
like,
everything worked out for
But
Baker
Browns
Mayfield.
fans hate that. All right, you're a Steelers fan. The Ben Roethlisberger situation happened perfectly. Tommy Maddox or whoever was
Tommy Gunn.
Tommy got
Yep.
and he got hurt.
Got
and,
hurt?
like, Ben Hunt. I got great Ben Roethlisberger stories. He
I-
really is a piece of shit.
Yeah, I know a couple.
fucking-
Yeah, a
and
couple-
by the way,
I know a couple girls that have good
so
stories. about
by
it.
the way, I want you to finish this thought. But anybody who knows me, knows me,
Hates Ben Roethlisberger.
I'm a huge. My daughter's middle name is Rooney.
Okay.
I bleed black and gold. I fucking hate Ben Roethlisberger.
He's
Right.
not.
He's a
You're a legitimate
shitty.
person.
He's
He
a
is
not-
shitty
he's-
human
he's
being.
not been.
I mean-
She's not been shy about that.
Right, good. I'm gonna tell you a quick Rudy story. Why it's awesome that you did that. When I was allowed to be the Browns sideline reporter, you get to go around to all these different stadiums, fields, or whatever else. And our owner at the time, Mr. Lerner, if I would have dressed up 5 guys at 300 pounds and said, "Hey," and if they didn't have a jersey on, I'd be like, "Hey, you pay these guys are football players." He'd be like, "Oh, okay." He had no idea.
Yeah.
So probably 2000, it doesn't matter what year, 2006, 2007, whatever. I get in an elevator in Pittsburgh before a game, and I'm sorry.
No,
I get in, all right.
turn.
Am I talking to the butt of it?
Yeah.
I get in an elevator before a game or whatever else. I'm coming back down, and Mr. Rooney gets on, and there's like 3 wives and kids. Mr. Rooney got on the elevator. He knew the kids' names, the girlfriend wives' names. Like, it really is a family. Like, how Pittsburgh is run. And like, I'm not here to make the Steelers good or bad. Mr. Rooney, like, I walked away. I was like, that's how you own a team. Like, he knew, like, the wives. He knew their families. And it wasn't, like, bullshit. Like, when somebody's just like, oh, yeah, hey, Timmy. Tim is the name I like today. Like, he really knew them. And I remember walking away going, that would never happen in Cleveland. And I've been around a lot of owners. Most owners aren't like that. The Rooneys are legitimately really good people. So good job out of you. You picked the right name. You picked
Well,
the right name.
I didn't want to interrupt. I didn't want to break the momentum of that story, but I wanted it to be crystal clear to anybody listening. I am not a Ben Roethlisberger
He's
fan.
been very vocal about that for as long as I've known
Good.
him.
You know the weirdest thing? I was at the game after he got suspended. I was at the game that he came back, and I was working for Channel 5 at the time, and my whole job was to get the story on the Pittsburgh fans, how they react. And news is funny because it's like, oh yeah, go get the reaction of the fans when Ben comes back. And I was amazed because, and I know this doesn't speak for every Steelers fan, but it tells you what fandom really is. Yeah, we all know it.
Yeah.
20 women walk by in pink
Yeah.
Roethlisberger jerseys, and I'm like, do you know what he was accused?
Yeah, that's
of?
fucked up.
I mean,
That's fucked up.
There's so
Right.
many examples. All right, so I can give you 3 examples right now. Obviously, the Roethlisberger one. You just
Yes.
gave a very good, a real-time personal experience. Of
Right.
So apparently we're all okay with what that
Yeah.
is.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that he didn't pay for it, but we pretty quickly forgot about what Michael Vick did. At least
Absolutely.
everyone in Philadelphia
Kobe
did.
Bryant too.
Yeah.
Kobe
Right?
Bryant.
And I love Kobe Bryant as a player, but I remember did you read? Did you see? Did you
Anyone read that transcript?
What is
or
that?
even just a snippet?
of it. But what does that say about us as a society? And I'm like,
We love winners. We don't care what they do.
Right.
Another. I don't know. I know you don't follow fighting. I don't know how much
a
you
little
follow
bit.
fighting.
Oh yeah.
John Jones.
Oh my God, he cheats every he's.
Could that guy fuck more up
Oh no! And like he could be it. He could be everything in
The only, unfortunately for him, the only thing that's happened is that he is always now going to have an asterisk next to his name
every time. Like,
and I don't think he ever needed it. Just to run down a list of things that I can remember. DWI wrapped his Rolls Royce around a telephone pole. He has failed, I believe, 4 drug tests.
Yes,
3 for steroids, 1 for cocaine.
Right. And the cocaine one was like the best one. They're like, oh, so you're just high. Like,
Yeah, most people were surprised. Like, they test for blow.
Hey, like, why are they doing that?
Fight at a press conference.
Yes.
He has, Jesus
But
Christ.
look at his profession. Because I don't disagree with you. But the profession says, oh, he's just a fighter. But
He's a madman because he's a fighter.
Right.
And just, I don't know, for me, his nemesis has always been Daniel Cormier, who I love to death.
I've actually met that dude. He's pretty cool.
You've met him?
Yeah.
Daniel Cormier, to me, is the...
He's pretty cool. But he won't fight my boy right now.
Who's your boy? Stipe?
Stipe.
Oh.
You want me to bring Stipe here too? Are you gonna talk shit, Pat?
No,
Fuck no.
Let me see. I can tell. I'm not trying to big time anybody, but I do know him.
You're allowed to big time. You know who we know? My wife, right there.
Hey, how you doing?
And sometimes she won't respond. But the
No, Daniel's a good dude.
I get, but I mean, for me, like Cormier has been tested. Actually, he's been tested more. He's an Olympian.
He does, yeah. And you
He's
know
been
what?
tested
And now
more.
that the way he fights, he's built like us. Like he's not even
Oh, yeah.
Like I love when he gets to the ring and I'm like
Every single time, I'm just like, what happens when you stop working out?
right. And Daniel like raises his hands like I'm still knock him out though.
And he does.
Absolutely.
Guy's a monster, and I love him. I love him as an analyst. I think
Yes.
he's one of the
He's
best.
really good,
I think he's one of the best in the world
is.
as an analyst. He's one of the best fighters. The only thing he has is John Jones. Take John Jones. Daniel Cormier is the best fighter that's ever walked the planet.
Yes. But John Jones should, if he takes care of himself, he should be one of the best fighters of all time. He should be with the length of his like, and I'm not to break down like MMA.
No, I mean
but you know what I mean. Like
he
his
actually
length
has
and
the
strength.
He has the perfect body for the perfect weight class.
Exactly.
And he is the thing they've also said about him is though he may not look like it because he's so lanky, like Chael Sonnen,
Strong,
Daniel Cormier have all
yeah.
said the same thing. They're like, when you put your arms around him, you have no idea how strong that
he
man
really is.
Then you take his jiu-jitsu's off the charts, striking, insane, but he's just another example
I agree.
of Jesus Christ. And he's only 30. He's not even in his fighting prime yet.
It's scary.
He's probably missed 2.5, 3 years of fighting just due to suspensions.
Easily. And the thing is, he comes. Imagine their family. You know, he's got 2 other brothers, that
Both
both played NFL players.
Both NFL All-Pro.
Yes. So
defensive
imagine feeding those son of a bitches, and imagine the fights they had amongst themselves. Like imagine like walking downstairs, like break it up. All right, first one that gets up wins.
Jesus
like,
Christ.
But I want to go
it's-
back to a point you were making. I think it ties back to something you said way earlier in the podcast.
you guys are gonna have to listen to 2 podcasts to get all this in.
Right, but
Congrats.
fuck it. Listen to it because it's
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
great.
I love it.
You know, it comes back to social media, right?
Yeah.
Our attention span now is so fucking short. We forget about everything. But
right.
you know what? The one athlete that I constantly comes back to my mind where we have not forgotten. Fucking Lance Armstrong.
Oh yeah.
That motherfucker tore up so many
Well,
people in defense of himself.
But let me
He'll
ask-
always
right.
be a piece of
No,
shit.
you're right. But let me ask you a question. And I don't disagree with what you just said.
Wait, what'd he do?
But no, I heard somebody, it was a comedian. Was it Neil Brennan? Doesn't matter, the comedian. But someone brought up a good point. They're like, okay, he cheated. We know. But look at all that he did for cancer.
Yeah.
You're like, like I'm torn because how many people didn't have the yellow wristband?
Everybody did.
When he was
Yep.
like, we all had the lipstick.
I had the
like,
yellow cock ring.
You're like, this
Just me?
means caution.
All
This
right,
means caution.
I made it at home. Whatever. It feels
And,
great.
the
You had to
thing,
double it over.
it's like
I'm sorry.
it's like when you take a rubber band and you keep twisting it to make the hole smaller and smaller.
I don't want the bread to go
This is
stale.
not the trying to make a joke. It's
That
assault
was
on
a
my
good
penis.
joke. It continued on. I'm sorry.
Anyway, thanks for
But
coming on.
but I'm glad you, Pat. That's a great example. That's a great example of you're not the best person, but you had some good intentions. But competitors. Think about what competition can do to people, and I see that in sports. Like that's one thing I will tell you guys. The hardest thing about my job sometimes is being around these guys, and like. Every athlete, and you know when you don't have it anymore. Like you know before. Like I love the fans that like tweet me and they're like, "Oh, that motherfucker strikes out too much," and I'm like, "Really? I've been watching since March. Fuck you. Like, you're not tweeting me anything I don't know. Thanks for like enlightening me that like the guy's hitting 100. I got stat. I walk with stats every day.
Right.
What are they? The thing that kills me about this is I'll go let him know. I didn't know.
Right.
I haven't been covering this all year, asshole.
Oh, I have no idea he struck out 8 times in a row. I said that yesterday on
Thanks,
the air.
Bonerific at 730.com.
Yeah, right. But to take it a step further, Bonerific. That fucking guy knows. He knows. You guys want to know the hardest part about my job?
Anyway, we got a call from Bonerific.
Your new favorite listener. The hardest part is knowing these guys. Like, you guys didn't ask, I'm just gonna tell it. The hardest part is knowing like their families and knowing like their lives. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we get out there and like at times you gotta tell the truth and be like, yeah, he's really in a bad rut. But at the same time, like I know that like he's got a terrible wife or like he's got something's going on with his kids or his mom. Like you know shit and you're just like, or like they're fighting, their wives are fighting or like and you're just like, yeah, it's been a tough day for X player. I was like it's like they're human beings. I hate to tell everybody that, but they're humans.
They have real lives.
Right. And they got families that are stealing money from them. And you can go on and on and on and on and on. Like I've been on a bus before, like literally, like you'll hear like a guy on the phone, like, you know, like it's a bus. So you hear guys like on the phone with their wives.
It's not
like
a condo.
But it's the same of any of us. And like, you're like, did you bring butter home? And like, you hear the guy be like, I forgot, honey. And it's like, and then you just can hear this, like, you're getting annihilated. Yeah. And you're like, you're the fucking cleanup hitter, man. Tell her to shut the fuck up. But he can't.
Sorry, I forgot the butter. I was getting laid out by J.J. Watt.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to block.
You know what's funny about, I love something you just brought up. So take me as a fan, right? There were a couple guys in ESPN in Pittsburgh that I would listen to religiously, whether it was following the Pirates or the Steelers. And every once in a while, I'd send a tweet, and every once in a while, I would make it on the air, right?
Nice.
But it was always from my fans' perspective. Right. And we live in a world today where I can send a tweet and hear my thought on the fucking radio. Right? So I say...
that excites you a little bit, right?
Fuck yes, it does.
Right, yeah.
I get to say anything that's on my goddamn stupid little brain in Cleveland, Ohio about what
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
But also scary.
Yes.
It is scary.
It's awesome, but I could see why it would be frustrating from your perspective. You're like, I know I saw that same goddamn tweet for 90 people today.
I can't believe I just put this together. Are you bonerific?
Oh,
tell me.
Snap. No. I told you we're not. Yeah, that's a little bonerific. Like, you can change your name when you get a little bit older.
Right.
Lil Wayne.
A little bit older.
Yeah. Hey, you gotta get older. Wait a minute. Can I say something? I follow you. All right. Obviously, I followed you guys' Instagram because of Joe.
Mm-hmm. Local hero.
And in my hood, he was a local hero. Not the
hometown
most.
hottie.
Did you get shit stolen at your house? I don't want to put it out
Yeah.
there. You got shit stolen at your house.
Yeah.
Strongsville.
I was Strongsville. I was pissed off for you, man.
Thanks, man.
So I drove around my neighborhood and I thought about stealing boxes all Christmas.
In honor of you.
I ain't taking Pat's kids' shit. That's bullshit. Let me see whose kids' shit I can take.
My daughter's 6. My son is 4.
Yeah, you know, I get it.
Right,
I felt bad for you because when I'm not, and this is the hardest part. I think when I first moved in my neighborhood, you know, obviously I'm not the darkest black man, but I'm black. I'm black, and I live in Wadsworth.
You're beige.
Like, that's the education he learned. No, you're all right. You're beige.
I don't see color, but you're beige.
I don't see.
All right, I don't want to tell stories about his family the whole night, but I got a story about that later. Like when my wife, I was in Minnesota of all places, my wife, because we were trying to move home to be closer to our parents and whenever we had kids, and we looked in the area like where you and I grew up, and it was just like prices were ridiculous, like it just didn't match. So my wife calls me. I'm in Minnesota. She's like, I think I found somewhere in Wadsworth. And I go, she texted to me. I called her. I was like, do you know what I look like? I was like, I can't move to Wadsworth. Yeah. And she's like, no.
You might as well move in the middle of a J. Crew.
Right. I was like, she was like, no. It's different. Like, and I was like, that's what they all say. And she's like, no, it's different because Old Wadsworth is like on the other side of something. She's like, they're building. This is a new allotment they're building. And I was like, I love you, but I can't do Wadsworth. So she was like, well, can you at least come see the land where everything's plotted? And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I live in Wadsworth now. Build a house and everything.
Hey,
so
you gotta stand your ground, man.
So all the guys out there, that's how shit works.
Yeah.
Right.
So when we first moved in, it was during the off season. And the people that, like, as the houses were being built, you know, people don't know anybody or know anything. So all they saw was like this black dude that would come out in, like, you know, Nike shorts and a t-shirt in 10-degree weather to get his mail and walk back in the house. And his car never left. And finally it hit me. I told my wife, I was like, I think our neighbors think I'm a drug dealer. I was like, I don't think they understand how we live here, and that black motherfucker never goes to work. You know, like, I can tell people will look at me, they're like, there he is. Like, it was like a Bigfoot sighting. And they're like, he's here every day. How did he get in our neighborhood?
They're having like little block parties. Like, did he leave? He didn't leave. Right. I go to work every day. What's he doing?
His car never moves. So finally, like, I remember, like, I was going to spring training, and I finally was like, I guess I should tell these motherfuckers, I got a job. I just don't work half the year, you dumbasses.
Yeah. I got a job. I'm on TV.
Right.
Also, I have the best blow you can ever ask for.
Yeah, on the side. You know, 2020s, 2040.
Supplementary income.
Right. All right, I got to ask this question, because I love podcasts. And I want to hear from both of you, unless one can answer for the other. What made you guys start a podcast? What made you guys do this?
Good.
It was mainly because of like a conversation like this. Patrick and I work together. We've known each other for
12, 13 years?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
We have always got along really well. We have similar personalities, similar everything.
Interests.
We similar interests, music, everything like that. He and I essentially were podcasting all day long and just didn't really know it.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of just fucking about one day. We're like, we should try to podcast.
Good for you.
So, you know, we were kind of, this kind of gets into like the whole getting older thing too, is you're like, okay, I kind of want something else.
Right.
I want another kind of like outlet. You know, I can't really obviously play sports anymore, at least not well.
Right.
And I like podcasts. I like the idea of them. I like that they're easy to do.
Yes.
So he and I just tried it one day and started having fun with it. I mean, again, like
You guys are funny.
We've literally only done this 9 months.
I know.
We're-
I've dipped in a little bit and listened a little bit.
Thank you,
Out of
thank you.
curiosity.
What'd you listen to?
I listened like when you guys first started, just because I was curious.
Oh, those are bad.
But no, you know what? Well, I travel so much during baseball season that you have to. Like, and there's not many times, to be honest, there's not many times where like a podcast pops up and it's a friend, like there's somebody that I know.
Agreed.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Where it's like I don't know what the fuck they're going to talk about, but okay, I'll listen. Because like I want your. I've heard Joe's. Why do you? What is he the same or you?
It's the same, but I think just to actually take it a little bit further, we wanted to do something than what most people are doing in podcasts. You can put on a podcast, and I listen to them too. I listen to sports podcasts because I want to know what's going on in the city that I love sports in. True crime,
Love it.
you know, history things, but it's. That's what everybody does now. And that's what everybody wants, right?
Right.
So we're like, no, we want to do something funny. We want to, like, yeah, I can, hear something.
But it's cool. I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell
I
you
mean-
guys. You guys killed 30 minutes for me, and I think any podcast. I'm not just saying it to you guys. You guys killed 30. I remember like I was like in a hotel hungover in Minnesota, and I was like, my wife's gonna hate me. I'm gonna come home bloated, so I like went and worked because it's part of my life. I'm just being honest with you guys. So I get on an elliptical, and I'm like, I'm gonna throw up, and I'm like, I gotta. So I put it on, and before I know it, I got through 30 minutes. It was mindless, but it was like, it was better than like. I asked this because, I think podcasts have taken over a part of. I'll listen to podcasts before I watch TV now.
Me too.
You know?
Music, same thing for me. I'll
Yeah.
actually do more podcasts than I'll listen to music.
Right.
Like at work, I'll listen.
Yeah.
To kind of piggyback on what he said, like I'm kind of the opposite. I actually like long form podcasts.
So do I.
Rotating topics. People just kind of bullshit.
Yes.
My favorite one, the one I probably listen to the most is the Joe Rogan one.
Yeah. Oh, he's his
because
is
he
top
has
notch.
fighters, scientists,
Yes.
politicians,
Everything.
He has
You never
everything.
know what you're gonna
And
get.
it's
Drug
just
use.
comedians.
Right.
It's rotating.
Yes.
And that's what he and I don't have a theme.
You don't ever have one.
We don't have one. I don't think we're ever going.
You know
to.
why? You know why it's cool? Why? In my opinion, it's that and it's part of aging, but it's part of when I listen to you guys. I'm sitting around, and this is what we try to do on our podcast. it's just two guys sitting around a bar having a conversation.
That is
right.
that is exactly what
And when do
we
you have
were
the
aiming
coolest?
for.
When do you have the coolest conversations with the most random people about the most random things? Is sitting around a bar just bullshitting, like just letting it out, and you being able to walk away and being like, all right, I may have like stepped like I had a moment like this past weekend with Matt Underwood and somebody else that works for the Cleveland Indians, and like we have a group that obviously we all work together, we all go out all the time, and we'd gone like 4 months without drinking together, so it was like big
Catch up
deal.
time.
Get
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. And we sat around, and like I'll never forget. My wife was like, "So what'd you guys do last night?" And I was like, "We talked about everything from why that motherfucker stepped on the line for that 3-pointer, to do you believe in God, to like why are those like what great but like those are the best conversations, right?"
I agree. He and I actually have done podcasts where the plan was to talk about this topic.
Yeah.
And then we start going, and then we don't even talk about it. We never even get to it.
No, and that's good though.
I mean, because we've had podcasts where we've talked about my horrible inability to date in college. People who are now
I'm gonna dig into that in a second.
Let's
let's. I mean, we're running out of time.
Now there's some kid that needs to hear this. Well, that's kind of how like it's funny, and like it is not about me, but I got a podcast called A to Z Podcast, and it's with Zach Jackson, who's from like we both were younger, and we worked for the Browns at the time before Eric Mangini fucked me over.
Fuck Mangini.
We got to post about him.
So Zach Jackson literally comes up to me because he's Rob Adams' best friend.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I didn't know who he was, and he came up to me in the Browns, like when I got hired to be the Browns sideline guy. He put his hand out and he goes, "Hey, I'm Zach Jackson. I watched your whole high school football career. I'm best friends with Rob Adamson," and it like scared me. And I was like, He was like,
Tonight you die.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. And literally, we were out in Baltimore, and we were out with a bunch of his buddies. You remember the Manchester A's?
Yeah.
Kevin Dunn. One of their best friends is Kevin Dunn's son,
Okay,
Ian.
that's where
You like
Bobby
you-
Boo. That's
Bobby
where he met
Boo,
Bobby
right?
Boo. Yeah.
And literally, his friend Ian, who we call the Devil now, and he's got kids at St. V because that's just how life works. He married a St. V girl because that's just how life works. We call him the Devil because that's how life works. And he was like, literally, like you guys know when you're in your mid-20s and everybody's at a bar and everybody's like trying to chase girls and everything else. Not that we weren't like that, because I don't want to sound that different. But we just sat there. But they were making fun of us because Zach and I sat there and we drank our beers and we just literally just talk shit, like back and forth. And Ian comes back and he's like, "You fucking guys," I won't use the word because that's
I know what
you know the word.
Yeah.
You got
90s.
Yeah, 90s. You can
It's
say
the
it
90s,
then.
early 2000s.
And he was like,
I know what he
he
said.
goes, "Hey, can you break up A to fucking Z and have some fucking fun?"
Nice.
And literally,
That's what it is.
that's what
great.
and so I like hearing other people's stories of how it comes together, because that's kind of how ours came together. Obviously, we got a sports slant because we've worked in sports.
Yeah.
But it became from all of our friends, people that we hang out with, always like, you two just go into your own world and go into all these conversations. And so we made a podcast, and I guess I gotta tell this. This is the best part to me, and this tells you how the business works. At the time, he was working at Browns. Like when he left Browns.com, he worked for Fox. And I gotta be careful how I tell this because my checks say Fox. I got kids to feed. So we're like, and this is literally, if it's 2019, this is literally 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Podcasts weren't podcasts yet.
Yep.
And
No, it wasn't
and like I was still like, I'm a radio guy still, and we said like, "Hey, we want to do a podcast," and we both worked for Fox. I worked for Clear Channel, iHeart, and our bosses literally like chuckled at us. They're like, "Just keep doing your job, kid."
Right.
And we're like, "No, we want to do a podcast, and we'll put it," like, we weren't asking for money. We weren't asking for
we'll do it ourselves.
Like, we literally were like, "Hey, we like having a good time talking sports. Can we put it up on your page?" He writes for Fox. Andre works for Fox. And we went through all this stuff, and like they kind of let us do it, but they didn't. Like the first time we showed up at Fox, they made us wear suits, and they wanted to record it, and they wanted us to put it wanted to be like a TV show to put on the net, and and we were like, "No, this isn't what we." They're like, "Okay, you guys got to talk about the Reds now," and we're like, "No, that's not what we want to do."
Right.
So long story short, they fired Zach, and my job changed or whatever else, and Zach and I were both like, "Well, we still want to do this," And we've built up our own little cult following. And like 6 months ago, this is the best part about my podcast, in my view. We've had our own golf outing. It was shitty. But we got t-shirts. It worked, though. It worked.
I would have gone just for the t-shirt.
Yeah. If we do it again, we'll put it together. We had to put both of ours together.
Right on.
Yeah.
People showed up, but it was like, it was a drunk fest.
We'll bring
like,
the drunk
It
people.
literally was
Those
like,
are the best
yeah.
kind.
Oh, I know. Like, I literally showed up and was like, yeah, we really are going through with this? Because you see who your fans are. You're like, So I can't wait till April 6th, 7 o'clock.
It's gonna be a.
What mutants are going to show up at ours?
Yeah.
So literally at the end of baseball season, I get a call from my radio boss because iHeart finally is down with podcast. He gets a call because now he works for The Athletic, where he writes. And literally within 24 hours, this happens. And we're not the most popular podcast. We're still figuring it out. We get local people to kind of sponsor us. We don't even care. It's like you guys. We just like hanging out, having a good time.
Yeah.
We just like talking. Like it's a great way to
Slow
just
growth,
vent.
have a good time, and that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're not looking for the pinnacle. Like we just like it where we're at. And I mean, don't get me wrong. If somebody wants to pay us, A to Z podcast. You can email me at Andre@WTAM.com. I'm all for it. Like, I like to drink beer. I drive a Chevy car, but I'll drive a Ford if you would like me to. If you have Lamborghinis, sure. I like to drink beer. I can do that too. But the whole point was, so like literally like 6 months ago, right after or whatever, basically, it don't matter when it was. I get a call from my radio boss. And he's like, hey, iHeartMedia is starting their own podcast page. What do you think about your podcast going on there? He gets a call from his boss at The Athletic. And they're like, hey, your podcast has got a great following. Would you? And like, we're both like, no.
Good.
Like, without even talking to each other.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
literally, like, we're on different phone
You
calls.
both knew the answer.
Yeah, we were like, no, we kind of own this.
Yeah.
We're our own bosses
Right.
here.
We're going to
Yeah.
own this the way. I was like, I don't want anybody telling us what to talk about or what to do. And, like, it's cool, but it sucks that it's taking this long for that many people to catch up. So my point is keep fucking doing what you're doing and don't let
Well, you know,
anybody change
it's funny. It was a couple years ago, probably actually around the same time that all this was going on, where Howard Stern, obviously huge on radio,
For sure.
was talking about he got an argument with not an argument like live, but someone who has a podcast said something about him. He responded, and he goes on this rant on his Sirius radio show about podcasts. Podcast, fine, have a
Hold
podcast.
up, pause
No-
for 1 second. I got to do something. Remember what you're saying.
All right.
Hey, Dad, I'm still doing the podcast with Joe. All right, you all right though? Everything okay? Yeah.
We're having a father-son moment right now.
All right, I'll call you when we get done. I'm telling everybody on the podcast you're the reason why I'm doing this. All right, I'll talk to you a little later, Dad. All right.
That was awesome.
But
I was still uncomfortable, like when I was a kid.
Joe got scared.
I was still uncomfortable, like when I was a
Like
kid.
this.
I gotta
Sorry,
tell you,
Mr. Knott.
Hey,
Sorry, Mr. Knott. I swore.
I gotta tell you, on his birthday last night, when I was like, "Hey, guess what I'm doing tomorrow?" And I told him, he's like, "Oh, that's gonna be awesome." The scary thing is, my dad's kind of figured out Instagram, and he's kind of figured out like podcasts,
shit.
kinda. And the first time he listened, he was like, "You got a hell of a mouth on you." Joe, I took till I was 40 and realized my dad was sort of like, he can say fuck.
That's phenomenal.
All right, continue.
No, it's funny you were talking about that because the Howard Stern actually got in an argument with somebody who had a podcast, and the guy was bashing on Howard about whatever, said it was the radio stuff was kind of getting played out, whatever,
Right.
podcast of the future. And Howard Stern goes on this rant about podcasting, whatever. I'm going on radio and have a career. Fast forward a couple years, what does Barack Obama do?
Right.
He goes on Mark Maron's
Yes,
podcast.
right.
Like it's people that kind of have the. I'm not saying Patrick and I had the foresight that we're literally 15 years behind everybody, but it's kind of that. To hear you say that, like when someone approaches, like, how would you like? No, this is ours now.
right.
We already asked you about this.
Yeah, and I love
like
radio.
that. I like that.
And like the thing is, I'll be honest, in a nerdy way, I like AM radio. I like talk radio.
Yeah,
I
I
like
do too.
cause, like I'm a conversationalist. I
Yep.
like having conversations. But the best thing about this is there's no boundaries. There's no like the biggest thing for me is in my regular job. Like I get like an email every once in a while of, hey, there's certain things like like, hey, we know that thing's successful, but be careful saying fuck. And I'm like, you don't pay me, but like I know there's certain things to say, and this is when I knew I got good at my job when they were just like, hey, we'll just buy the podcast, just, like,
Right.
get rid of it. You're gonna get us, and I'm like, no, this is fun. Like I brought Terry Francona on the Cavs had one, like I can't remember the name of it right now. People know, and like for like 6 weeks, Terry Francona called it pod shit. He's like, so what's that pod shit you're doing? Because he said it didn't fit. He was like, what's that pod shit thing you're doing? And I was like, hey, the guys at the Cavs, they want me to bring you on. And he's like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, well, you just sit around and you talk and you bullshit. And I go, but they're from Arizona. You're from Arizona. That's the one thing. If anybody's listening to this podcast, if you want to know something about the Indians that you probably didn't know, Terry Francona is the biggest basketball fan of all time. He has 6 season tickets at Arizona. He went to Arizona. He loves hoops. The first conversation I had with him before I had my job was, he was like, hey, how do you think they make the lines for fucking preseason basketball?
All right, so you've talked Browns, you've talked
Yes.
Indians. How ingrained in basketball are you?
I love the game. I hate everything that comes around
I
it.
agree. So let me ask this.
But you know that. You know.
I know you do. Yeah, I know. I know you've always loved
Right,
baseball and
right, yeah,
football
yeah.
above all else, but I also know that you are still at the Cavs games. I know you pay
Yes,
attention.
I still go.
So this is an argument that I've had for years, especially in this last
I gotta tell you,
year.
I did go to a game this year, and I'm admitting this. I went to a Sacramento Kings game. I was in the 5th row, and I wanted to see Sacramento because I like the pace they play with. They go up and down. They don't be defense, but they go up and down.
They're
I
running
literally,
gun.
I
They're
literally
running
sat
gun.
through 2.5 hours, great seats, drank, and I couldn't tell you anything that happened in the game. It's the first, but Joe, you know, like it was, like it just didn't grab me. Like I was just kind of like,
I get
eh.
it. I get, but the NBA is so much more of a spectacle as a
right
game anymore.
And that made me sick. I got
And
in the
this
car, I
kind
was
of
like,
this is kind of where my question comes from, because a lot of what I'm going to ask is kind of the way that take the NBA aspect out of
Yeah.
it. Take the player. Just consider this: Westbrook or Harden.
Westbrook all day.
Thank you. Right?
He does fucking everything.
God, fuck you, Jeff Byrne.
But okay, but why, okay,
I
but
had this argument.
all right. But let me ask you this: why don't we? And he's not the perfect player,
No.
but why don't we respect what he's going out and
I
doing?
have no idea.
He's doing something that in our lifetime we've never seen.
He is the godsend of point guards.
Yes.
Scores, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks,
Right.
defends his
Ass
ass off.
off. Do you
He
know that-
puts so much emphasis on defense.
I'm glad you brought. You know the other thing he's doing right now? He's matured enough that he's letting Paul George be the leading
Yes!
scorer. And I don't hear anybody naturally talk about that. I'm like, if
No.
you really watch him play, he's matured to realize, like, you know what, Paul? You go score 30. I'll do everything else.
Yeah.
My-
I'll score 18, 10,
10, 12,
8, and
like-
6.
He had 3 games of like 20, 15, and 15. It's not even like
He
10.
had a
and-
season where he averaged a
He's
triple-double.
about to do it 3 seasons in a row.
God.
Well, yeah,
Hey,
right.
well-
On our podcast, we did this a year and a half ago on our podcast. And I'm going to say this, that you guys got to talk because I got a small bladder.
Sure.
That means
We can
I'm
take
being
another break. We don't
honest.
care.
Yeah. But think about this, and this is fun to do. Russell Westbrook may be the best American athlete we have. Name me a sport he couldn't just annihilate.
Oh,
you could put him in soccer, baseball, like any sport.
I think you put him in a fighting ring. I think he'd be fucking
he'd
amazing.
kill people.
He would murder people.
6'3", 6'4", like with his arm, like he literally might
His
be one of the best.
athleticism is off the
Right.
charts.
All right. As a radio professional, I'm going to say
Well,
right
I
now.
wouldn't say we're professionals. So.
Oh,
Me,
you,
he
is.
you. Okay. Sorry. My bad.
Yeah,
My
you're
bad.
good. You're good. This is right now a great time to talk about your Facebook page and where you guys are going to be on April 6th, and I'll be right back.
All right.
Bravo.
Just keep in mind, Andre is still in his seat. He is not running upstairs to piss.
Okay, so I know we're getting down to the end here. So I know you wanted to ask about something else. Do you want to ask?
I did, yeah. So one of the things, looking at like your podcast topics, seeing you as far as whatever, television, online, interviews, everything like that. You're incredibly sports oriented, which I know for your line of work may sound strange to be like, hey, you're sports oriented, but nowadays it's not that anymore.
No.
It's
gotta be everything.
When you look at so when we talk about like things like ESPN or sport, anything like that, the viewership is down because I think the speculation, and I kind
They
of
got in
agree,
their own way.
it's they're getting away from the sports and they're getting it into like the I don't want to even talk about the
It's not politics, but it is politics.
it's entertainment.
Right.
It's more they're getting more into the almost like the rumor gossipy bullshit.
Sure. TMZ. Well, think about it. When we grew up,
TMZ is actually the great.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put
well,
it.
think about it. When
That's
we,
what it is.
This is how I see it. When we grew up, National Enquirers and what other like they put those magazines.
joke.
Yeah, but they put those magazines. Look where they put them in grocery stores or at Target. Like they put them as you walk out and as you're in line, and they put like the most bombastic. Like they put like the craziest line, like like ever to grab your attention.
Yes.
Now, that was when we were growing up. You only saw those as you were leaving the grocery store, and like your mom would like kind of glance at it and be like, "No, if you brought it home, your dad would mock them for
Yeah, of
bringing
course.
it home."
It's a joke.
Right. But now TMZ breaks when Michael
That's what
Jackson
it
does.
is.
And
That's what it
and
is.
the TMZ is that. And now you have kids growing up that think that's how you made it. Like, you know, like I've seen it in locker rooms. Like I see it like I see it where guys like like ages of guys. Like I'll never forget Mike Napoli, one of the greatest guys ever. You guys got to bring me back for another podcast so I can talk about different.
Love
guys
to.
that are great.
You can come
Love
on
to.
whenever.
I would
whether-
love to. I will.
Yeah,
I will.
for sure.
I definitely will. And I remember him saying, like, he was like taking early batting practice. He was just like out looking at cheerleaders because that's what he did. He's a man's man. And he was like,
Gross.
and he was like, yeah,
Into it.
But he was like, I remember saying, hey, where's your teammates? He was like, oh, they're probably in their fucking phones back in the clubhouse. He goes, you know how those kids are. And literally that's what was happening. And like, I'm like, you get to play pro sports. Go play on the field.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah,
out there and
yeah.
enjoy it.
That's so. I asked it because there was a quote out. It was recently. I think it was the last 2 weeks. It may have been Kevin Durant. I don't want to get it wrong because I'm sure Kevin Durant.
I want to ask you about Kevin Durant. Good.
So, but he said something like media has broken up more teams than players have, and it's because of like it's the pardon the interruption. I'm not dogging these shows.
No.
But
Part of
I
the
mean,
interruption I like. The rest of them
I
were
do.
jokes.
Some of them
Yeah.
I do like, but like the pardon the interruptions, the
other
Skip
one with
Bayless
the-
shit.
yeah.
Like I hate
Yeah.
that stuff.
They're ridiculous.
It's gossip. You talk stats, matchups, coverages, things like that.
I go out of my way not to do that. other
Yeah,
shit.
but I mean, but
I got it.
It's
I got
noticeable.
it.
I think that's
Thank
why.
you.
I think that's why a lot of people that when they found out that you were going to be on, they like you so much because it's almost a throwback to when, like you remember. When we were kids, and you're going to notice too because we're in the same age bracket, the Sports Center every single morning,
Oh.
30 minutes, and it would repeat again.
Yeah, and
you love seeing the
highlights.
highlights. Stuart
Right.
Scott, the awesome stuff. Only
Right.
talk sports.
Joe,
That's not a thing anymore.
All I want to do, and this sounds corny, but all I want to do is I want to tell stories for the grandma that lives in Rocky River.
Yeah.
I want her to know why you should like Jose Ramirez. Why I'm going to tell you enough of his story that you're pulling for him. I want the kid that was me, that was you, that was all of us to know why. Like I did a thing with Francisco Lindor a couple years ago because he's a switch hitter and his swings are exactly the same for both sides. Anyone that's ever tried to swing for both sides knows that's really freaking hard. So I said to him, I was like,
But that's the example right there.
Right.
You actually analyze someone's swing that's a switch hitter.
Right.
That is not. You know what? Another like what a larger maybe outlet whatever would say. This is why he shouldn't do this from the left side. He's ruining his game.
Right.
It's the gossipy. It's the sensationalization. The sense.
Kids
Say the
will-
word for
'cause
me,
it's
please.
Sensationalization.
Oh, very good.
Oh, that wasn't it. I was thinking example.
Okay. That's another tough
But
one for you.
what I mean is like it's you guys are talking actual sports and the things that affect it. Sure, you can be critical, but you're critical by saying like what they saw was this. Maybe this could have helped.
Right.
But it's the pardon the interruptions, the Skip Bayless stuff. That's the stuff that unfortunately is taking over the airwaves, and I think that's why people are no longer listening.
I agree. It's a microwave society. Everybody wants
Very much.
everybody wants something really quick.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a quick thing to run with, and it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Like the actor that lied about getting jumped. Like I think it's a perfect example.
I can't wait to do a podcast on that.
what a dumbass, by the way. But I think he plays into our society of look how many people jumped one side or one way and like thought they had the whole story figured out. And then the other thing is we have so much quote unquote pride that it's hard for people to admit that they're wrong.
Everyone's back
Right?
now.
Like think about that. Like if I don't know a story or know what really happened, or when I find like it's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, my bad.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You know what? And in that situation, it's funny you bring that up because he and I really we're gonna do a podcast on that.
We have to.
Just because it's not
our
in
society.
it's not in a bashing way on him. He's a wank. He's a sociopath. Whatever.
Yeah.
But it's more of a indictment of why people reacted poorly the second time around. I understand why everyone said this
Originally,
is terrible. This is
yeah,
terrible.
yeah.
When I heard that story, I was like, "Fuck, that's
Yeah,
horrible."
but-
why people can't come back and be like, "You know what? We got it wrong."
Right.
Unfortunately, they didn't have to be like.
There's nothing wrong
that-
with
all
that.
they had to say was, "We jumped on this because you know what? This is a terrible thing, and we wanted to make sure we're supporting people."
Well, let me
But
ask you, what happened? What goes on in the mind of someone to do that, though? Because
it's
we
easy.
make a lot of jokes and we can talk for a lot of time.
Sure.
And we know the basis. I think all of us were raised in a very grounded base. But imagine not growing up in that type of base and thinking what he's been accused of was like okay to do?
I
Where
think-
the fuck does that come from?
I think he thought that he could use the kind of the things that we've kind of bagged on
For
today.
sure.
He said I can use social media for sure. I can use a narrative that is popular, which is he can just jump on the Trump stuff. Hey,
Right.
I'm not a big Trump fan at all. I don't think Patrick is at all. I'm guessing you're
comment.
not either. But what I mean is the saddest thing is he took a narrative that is a real narrative. You know, he took a hate crime, crime against gays, crime against blacks, and he worked it to his advantage because he wanted a fucking raise. That is someone.
Right.
I don't even think it's a mental illness. That's just someone who is.
It's attention, like
It's attention. It's an attention whore.
right, but it plays into the whole social media to me. I don't like because you're saying everything right,
Right.
but it plays into I'm going to build attention and I'm going to make you give me a raise because people are going to feel bad for me.
The reason that I think that it was only because of attention and all that kind of stuff. The interview he did was it ABC? I think.
I'm the gay Tupac, or whatever he
That-
did. Yeah, with Robin.
Fuck!
Yeah.
I am so glad you said that
yeah, I was
because
like-
he said that.
Yeah.
He said, "I am the gay Tupac." He was trying to brand himself.
Yes,
He was trying to brand himself as an activist. I was like, you know what? It's not hard to be an activist. Go out there and help people.
Right, go help people. You don't got to tell people.
You don't got to make shit
No.
up. There's plenty of bad shit going on out there.
But it's sad that like this becomes our commentary and like what like is that story more important than what's going on really around her? Because there are a lot of good people in our country. I've worked.
I couldn't agree more.
There are good people, but how much do we even discuss that?
Not
Never.
enough.
Not enough at all.
I think that people give the narrative that America is a bad place, a racist place, a hateful place, because that's the stuff that gets play and traction. People will listen to. Stuff have I
If it
had
bleeds,
5.
I've been in newsrooms. If it bleeds, it leads. That's
Exactly.
literally
And
like
you would know better
you're-
than anybody. I had 5 interactions with strangers today that were fucking amazing.
Right.
People I don't know who were just, I mean, simple stuff that
Yes.
that me and Patrick have always kind of joked around about. You're in the same boat as we are.
Well,
Like,
driving here, I flipped off 3 people for cutting off. But that's different.
Well,
I'm
they're
driving.
probably Trump supporters, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Red
like
hats
simple stuff, like he and I get a huge charge, and I'm sure you do too. And I know you do because for some fucking reason I saw this tweet about rude people when you're traveling.
Oh my God!
Yes,
on
right?
planes?
yes,
Like, what is wrong with
Yeah.
people? Have they forgot like all house training?
It's-
Like you get on
Yeah.
a plane and people like stand up and they're like standing up right over you. And you're like, you're 3 seats behind
Yeah.
me. Or how about when I was just on a, I'm so glad you brought this because I want to kill people. On
I
this.
love that I saw it, and I'm on Twitter. I saw it. I don't know how.
Dude. So like they were like they say over there like our flight had been our connection and like remember when it was really cold a couple weeks ago we were going to the Bahamas. We had already set it up. And like there was a couple we were in Charlotte and they were like, "Hey, if you have another flight to get to, can we let those people get off first?" You would be amazed how many assholes would not let them like they have
Oh,
a connecting
really?
like they have a connecting flight. Get out of the way.
That's
and like,
fucked.
And like to
The
me,
whole world stops when you have something else to do on a flight.
but I
It's-
see these people do this, and I'll be honest, Joe, because I fly with a professional team 6 months out of the year, I'm a bad traveler because we don't follow all the rules. We don't have to follow the rules. So when I'm on a regular flight, I like now because my wife has put me in my place. Of like, I'll admit, my wife is like, "Hey, asshole, this isn't how it goes for everybody else. Sit down." So like now I really take it in, like and like I'm like, look at people, like the plane like hits the ground and people are like standing up right over you. They're opening up their bins and it's like you're not gonna really
I
get anywhere
fucking
before
hate
anybody
that.
else, and it's
Yeah.
rude.
Yeah.
So rude, and
Yep.
people.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That is what it is. It's funny that just because he and I talk about that a lot. Actually, I know he has actually a couple actual sports questions.
Yeah.
to ask.
So
You've been writing down stuff the whole time. God
yeah,
damn.
man, I got notes. I got a
Go
page of notes.
ahead, man. You good? You good? Go ahead, man.
so,
we'll be professional. We won't tell everybody.
So I want to wind this up, and I got a couple questions
Do your
here,
thing.
and
at me.
hopefully you can answer.
Well, the best thing is before we did this, Joe like sent me a message and he was like, "Hey," and it plays into why podcasts are great. He's like, "Is there anything you want to talk about or anything you don't want to talk about?" I was like, "No, man." I go, "I'm an open book." I like if I don't want to answer something, I know how to tap dance.
The first thing I have down here is interesting to me because we were talking about your podcast in particular, the whole Trevor Bauer situation and the arbitration and what he said on that podcast about what his value was and then what he approached the Indians with what his value should have been at the end of the year. Like, how does How is that going to change how athletes approach people when it comes to podcasts and open media?
Oh, it's going to change tremendously. By the way, I'm not going to break news on here about break news. When I get back to Arizona later on this week, I think we're going to start a new podcast called The Trev and Clev Show with me and Trevor Bauer and Mike Clevenger.
Really?
Yeah. Trevor Bauer is I'm not going to lie. Like, he's a different individual. I think all of us grew up having really close friends, like people to play catch with. He didn't. He was a nerd. He's a kid that didn't really have a lot of friends. He's a kid that, and remember this when we stop talking, because I'll say more often here. He's not a bad person. I know him personally. I know I could text Trevor right now. I could tell Trevor, like, one of the first things he gave money to last year was to my wife's. When he knew what my wife did, he was like, "Hey, I'm giving $420 away, once a week." And I'm like, "In your wife's business, one of the ones that I give to." The problem Trevor Bauer has is that, Joe and I can tell all these crazy stories of when we were 12, 13, 11, on teams and teammates and where we played. And Trevor's just never has been accepted. And my wife, who's strong in the community that she's in, last year I went out of my way and I went and hung out with Trevor where he works out. And Trevor said to me, he's like, "Why do you want to do something on me?" And I said to him, I go, "Because you're not the normal athlete, and we need a voice for that. You're a nerd. You admit that you're a nerd." And I go, "There's some nerd at home that needs to hear your story of being picked on and being bullied, but you still can make it." I go, "You scientifically go about things." Now, in saying that, he doesn't understand being around dumb jocks either. Like, it's hard. It's hard for him to connect like with everybody because he doesn't understand boundaries is a good word that I'll use. But he's not a bad person.
It's not an uncommon thing.
No. He just happens to figure it out and became a Major League Baseball pitcher that can throw 95 miles an hour. If he didn't do that, he'd be an astronaut. He doesn't need baseball. But because he's here, he's going to do baseball his way. I hate that he gets, trust me, and I'll show you guys. When he does stupid shit, I text Trevor and say, "That's stupid as fuck." And Trevor will say, "That's just because people don't get me." Or that's because, but that's I can be honest with him. And I'll be like, "You're going too far." He doesn't mean it. He just didn't grow up like the rest of us, is what I would say.
I think that's interesting because I can't imagine that it doesn't have some kind of impact about the way athletes start to approach the way they do things in podcasts. Because I think
Trevor's changing the game. Let me tell you a quick story. When I was in Arizona just a couple days ago, Francisco Lindor is the closest thing to LeBron James. I was around LeBron a little bit at 17, 18, 19. I've been around Frankie at the same ages. And I don't want to scare Cleveland fans with this. They just get it. They get things that, on the court, on the field, they're unbelievable. Bless you. But, they get life. And Frankie said to me the other day, I was doing an interview with Trevor. I was getting ready to do an interview with Trevor. And Trevor's, people just don't jump up to be best friends with Trevor because they know it comes with getting thrown in all the other shit he gets involved with. And Frankie said to me, he goes, "He's a weird motherfucker, but he's smart as shit and he knows what he's doing." That's all you need to know about Trevor Bauer. Frankie said to me, he's crazy. He goes, "But he's smart as shit." He goes, "He knows how to sell himself. He knows how he gets the game." So to answer your question, when your best player is on board, you're good.
Yep. And I know Major League Baseball has been doing it for 25 years now. What's your personal thoughts on interleague play?
Fucking kill it.
I hate it.
It was fun at first, but now, all right, here's how I would change baseball quickly. Because I love baseball. And I get how some people are like, "Game's too long, it's boring." Kids want everything now. I get that. Make everybody DH.
You just took my next question.
Quit letting pitchers hit.
I'm on the opposite side of the fence on that one.
You want everybody to DH? Everybody to well, just do it
have
one way.
Have the pitchers hit.
In 2000, but in this day and age, what are we really doing?
Yeah.
Let everybody just get it over with.
Yeah.
Make it work.
Yeah.
Stop trying to change and make people happy. Baseball's baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball's trying to change they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna put a guy on second and sit in the 10th inning." No, baseball's baseball. Yeah. In our age bracket, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, 80 years ago, 90 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, 400 years ago, 500 years ago, 600 years ago, 700 years ago, 800 years ago, 900 years ago, 1000 years ago, 2000 years ago, 3000 years ago, 4000 years ago, 5000 years ago, 6000 years ago, 7000 years ago, 8000 years ago, 9000 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, 400 years ago, 500 years ago, 600 years ago, 700 years ago, 800 years ago, 900 years ago, 1000 years ago, 2000 years ago, 3000 years ago, 4000 years ago, 5000 years ago, you're not going to go to every single game, but you respect the game enough. Like every ballpark, the Indians are, and I can say this, the Indians are like, they're putting bars out in right field. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, it is. It is. It feels like you're in college. It feels like you're in college out there.
Well, you know what it is for me. You know, I'm not a huge baseball
Right.
fan. I love the baseball atmosphere, though.
Right.
I
It's-
love
it's
a nice day,
summer
going
day,
out there,
summer
buy
night.
a
Right.
$9 ticket, watch a
Right.
baseball game,
Absolutely.
and I love that I actually have that out there where I can just go out there and just kind of hang out and just
It's perfect.
drink. I think it's perfect. It actually attracts people like me who are more casual
Yes.
fans.
Well, Colorado, and I can tell you, some of the ballparks that are doing it right, like Colorado basically does their whole upper deck is like a Budweiser roof. And it's just like,
Oh, San Francisco? You been to San Francisco?
oh, they got all the food trucks out in
Dude,
San
San Francisco, they don't
party.
even have to have a game there. I would hang out in San Francisco
Oh,
Stadium.
that's so, isn't it so beautiful?
It's
That's
amazing.
unbelievable.
It's amazing.
It really is. So my thing, and I say this in Major League Baseball, stop trying to make everybody happy and just be who you are.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like it's what you are.
Again, casual fan. Still my favorite place to go ever is Wrigley.
Oh yeah.
Wrigley still. I'm like, if I was,
You guys-
they actually feel like the ones who are just like, deal with it, like it or
right.
don't.
This is what our park is.
Yeah,
Come hang out.
Here's your hot dog that's smashing this tinfoil. Hope
Right.
you like it. And you know
Right.
what? It's fucking delicious.
Yeah, and hey, we don't have a jumbo. No, they do.
Nope.
Like you're like, but you're like,
But
yes,
they are-
I like that.
They're like in 1985.
Yes,
still.
and it's
I
cool though.
love it.
You know what? The Cubs were my favorite until they beat us in the World Series.
I thought you were gonna say the white man.
Yeah, no. Not yet. We're,
All right,
we're
next
going to end
podcast.
this podcast with my text messages when we all started hours ago.
What Indians over or under 90 wins this year?
In Vegas currently, as you asked this question, they're favored to win every game in the AL Central. They'll win 93 games.
Really?
93.
They're different, but they're going to be fine.
All right, let me ask you this. So that's what Vegas says. Over or under 95?
93.
90. So you're sticking with the
It's
line.
like a 93.
All right.
They're going to win that.
You
I
know
don't
what?
like.
We got to mark this down to make sure we track this.
I'll come back.
I know that's what I mean. I like this.
I think
Well, it's going to be on the air. I mean,
hey, Joe, I'm gonna tell you something. The assholes that listen when they see my name, they'll remind me on this thing called social media. Like in July, they'll be like, "Hey, dickhead, you said 93 wins. They're at 45.
How dumb are you?
any surprises out of the NL or AL this year? Who do you like that nobody's talking about?
Good question. I think this is gonna be controversial. I think Washington is gonna be better without Bryce Harper.
I think that's entirely possible, by the way.
I think. Go ahead. Yeah.
And this is again not knowing. I think this is almost the Carmelo Anthony effect.
Exactly.
Just because
that's a real
Carmelo
thing.
Anthony is an amazing basketball player,
Yes.
you will never win a title.
But nobody wants Carmelo.
Tracy
Anthony.
McGrady, same thing.
How about Chris Paul? I want to talk. You got to do a basketball because Chris
do
Paul.
have to
We
do
got to do a basketball because I love
we
taking
do.
basketball. Because
We
Chris
do.
Paul is a very good point guard, but he's not a winner.
No, he's not.
And he has all the answers, but he's not a winner. How does that happen as
There
a point
is
guard?
something about Chris Paul,
Yes.
and I don't know what it is.
I think
a
he's-
lot of it's the combinations.
Yeah,
it is. Chris Paul and Carmelo can't win.
Can't win.
But I think a lot of that falls on Carmelo. I'm not to hijack your shit. I'm sorry.
No.
You just hijacked it, you motherfucker.
Okay.
I
Well,
thought it's both of you guys' podcast.
why don't you go take a piss?
Yeah.
But I mean, but to me, the Bryce Harper thing is similar to the Carmelo Anthony, Tracy McGrady thing. I
Yeah.
think they're incredible
Yeah.
scorers. I think you throw Harden in here too.
Harden is.
Harden's in there.
You can't win the way they play.
Nah.
And I don't even like, and I got to be honest with you, I don't even like, I will say this. You get caught up with him scoring 30 every night for as long, and that's over now. But I don't like watching him play. It's not fun basketball to watch. Like I
Harden
just
travels once if he shoots. Also, he shoots.
Oh wait.
There are plenty of guys in the NBA that can score that many points. By
I just had a
shooting
fight
that
with
many
somebody.
times.
I was like, if Kobe Bryant got the chance to play like Harden is, he would have averaged 50.
The bullshit fouls that he gets. Whatever.
It's weak.
We do it maybe.
Yeah,
have to have
no,
a basketball
seriously,
cast.
because I could go the whole NBA. Like,
Yeah.
I could like. There's so many things about the
That's
NBA.
why I throw out the Westbrook Harden thing because everyone always says, "Oh, Harden, he's great." I'm like,
No,
fuck you.
you don't know how basketball
If
works.
it's normal basketball, take the
Yes.
NBA rules out.
Westbrook
Westbrook
all day.
every single time.
This is
day.
hilarious to me because I have worked. How long have we worked at our current job together?
3 years, about 3 years.
Okay, 3 years ish. Very closely with him. I haven't heard him say shit
About hoops?
about basketball.
He knows hoops.
He gets on this podcast with you.
knows.
He doesn't stop talking.
He knows the
It's
game.
actually,
And then
my mind
he
is
knows the
melting.
game.
A lot of it
does.
is like I don't have a lot of people to talk to, and I'm not like upset about it. A lot of people want to talk basketball, they don't.
Well, most people don't get it.
I didn't even know you watched
I do
it.
know it, and like when I see a talent like Westbrook,
Oh.
anyone that was just like, well, I mean, Westbrook's good, but I'm like, whatever
no
you're about to
buts.
say, shut up.
Yeah.
He's the best point guard in the NBA,
Right.
hands down.
There's no buts.
because he does everything.
Yes.
Point guards should do.
Yes.
Point guards aren't supposed to average 35 a game.
No.
They're supposed to do everything.
Right.
They're supposed
the
to
league
make.
is so weird now. The league is so
All right, so you're giving us the Nationals out of the National League.
I think the Nationals are going to be different because they got young talent, and I think there's a different pressure when you lose a guy like
All right,
Bryce.
what about
Like,
the
it's-
American League?
Yankees are going to be fucking good. Like, it's
What a
just-
shock.
Too much money.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't break anything. I think the White Sox are going to get better. That doesn't mean they're good because they
Okay.
got young talent. I think the Indians are going to be better than what people think.
Really?
Only
The
because I'm going to
Expos.
tell you what.
How are the Expos? gonna be?
Dude, I wish they would come back.
Me too.
I
miss
saw
the
that. I
Expos.
love that. I love that.
My
Like, that's
favorite hat,
awesome.
my favorite
The
everything.
best hat. They had the best hat.
Expos
Is-
are
is-
I
And
do
when
you
we
like-
rode up, they had good teams.
Do you like
too.
that one better? Or how about the old fucking Brewers?
Oh, Brewers and NBA.
I mean,
Milwaukee's one of my favorite cities. I don't know about you guys. In my traveling, Chicago's one of my favorite cities.
Okay.
Milwaukee's in my top 5.
Be there.
Milwaukee's in your top 5.
Milwaukee, you know why? Milwaukee is Cleveland with a little bit of steroids.
Oh, here's okay.
and it's 45 minutes outside of Chicago. They got
talking
great
about the
breweries. They
ballpark?
got no.
Are
The
you talking about
ballpark's
the
like
city?
the middle.
Breweries,
The
okay.
Milwaukee's like the ballpark is like kind of away from everything.
Yeah.
but and they
The
but they do
city's
tailgate.
amazing.
It's one of my best. Here, I'm gonna tell a quick story. So we've only been to Milwaukee 2 times in the last 5 years, but Milwaukee's so Milwaukee that literally the 3 nights we were out last year in Milwaukee, every night we ran into Latrell Sprewell.
Oh, really? Get
That's
the fuck
why.
out of here.
That's why Milwaukee's the shit. Yeah, he just hangs out at normal bars.
Is he
Like
still?
literally,
is he still
and it's still
a little-
trail. He still got the same like
Same
and literally-
braids?
Yeah, same braids. And literally, you're like by the 3rd night, you're like, "Yo, Spree." He's like, "Yeah, I saw you last night." Like Milwaukee is like a star. Like I'm just telling you, Milwaukee,
And-
like, the other city that I
Great
love.
fucking city.
And I'll
Great
tell you
city.
what, Sprewell is to me.
He's a lunatic.
If he wasn't
isn't he?
insane,
Yeah.
But you need that a little bit, right?
Kind of.
He's
He's
kind of
too
over
much.
the.
Yeah, he was too much.
He has too much, but
little
my
bit.
goddamn, when he reinvented himself with
Yes.
the Knicks.
Oh my God! Right, he was unbelievable. He was
my
a defender
God.
and just went out and just even with
was a
Minnesota,
monster.
even with Minnesota the year when they had Garnett and
True,
Steph when
true.
they were all like playing together.
That was a team that on paper should have won a title.
Yeah, they should have been in the Western Conference Finals.
Garnett,
every year. Right.
Sprewell. I
I mean,
mean,
they had other like side pieces. Other city, and I love telling this. I've been in Minnesota when it's cold. Fuck that city.
no, it's worse.
Minnesota in the summer, and just trust Uncle Andre on this. You guys all got women, or you may not. Hit me up.
Oh, let's talk after we stop recording.
Minnesota, when it's hot, they get like 90 days, and they fucking
Get like 90 days.
they do, and they take advantage of it.
It's about an
Really?
hour and a half.
It's a good city. Everything, and when it is cold, you can walk like a mouse inside like a trap and not go. Like I can literally leave our hotel and walk to the ballpark without going outside, which is a little weird, but cool. Yeah, but cool. I'm telling you guys, Minnesota in the
Okay.
summer is one of the best places I've ever
on,
hung
man.
out, and I've been a lot of places. Minnesota is really fucking
Right
cool.
on.
You know why? Because they know that it's going to be 10 below for 30 days straight. So when they get a good day, they enjoy it, and
on.
they're like a metro. Like they get like people from North Dakota, South Dakota. Like, you know, they get like a whole.
yeah.
So, like, to those people, Minnesota is the big city. Like, to them.
You weird fuckers.
Yeah, they are weird as shit. And if you like tall blondes, I call them Amazons. They're like, every girl's like 5'11", 6 foot blonde. And I'm always like, hey, how you doing? Can I get another brewski?
So I have my last question. It's probably obvious. But I just wanted to say I'm fucking thrilled that you came on.
Thank you.
This
Thank you
was
for having me.
awesome. Everybody that Joe told, and I started it off with this, talked about how fucking awesome you were. Clearly, you're a good dude.
Thank you. I appreciate
I'm just thrilled you were able to come on and just talk
I'm having
about
a ball.
some of the
to be
old
completely
shit.
honest. I'm having a ball.
Well, I
doing
mean,
this.
for me, it was now you know what I was even telling him the last couple of days. I was like, dude, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what we're gonna talk about tonight because I'm not outside of for me. Like obviously, I pay attention to basketball.
Right.
I like Browns football and fights, but I
Right.
don't know anything else.
You don't have to.
And I was like, I don't know what we're gonna talk about. And then as I kind of started thinking about it, and he was like, well, why don't we just do this? I'm like, you know what? It's not going to matter.
No.
He's an easy dude to talk about. We don't have to talk sports at all. It's going to be fun.
I was funny when you asked me. I told him, it was like, you asked. You're like, well, what do you want to talk about or not want to talk about? Like, nothing. I just want to come hang out. For me, I was excited just to hang out with Joe. To be honest,
none taken.
It was
None
cool to drink a
taken.
couple
No, I
beers,
get it.
hang out with Joe.
I get it.
That's what it turned. We talked about like having a podcast. I think you mentioned it too. Having a podcast where just guys having drinks and hanging out. That's exactly what this turned into. And I appreciate you coming out here. It was awesome seeing you.
All right,
Guys.
last
So here's
thing.
the last question.
I'm coming back. Oh, you got one more question.
yeah,
Go ahead.
This is the
You're
last
coming back for
question.
sure.
Yeah, you guys got to have a choice. I'm just going to knock on the door.
No, you're
You
welcome. This has
motherfuckers
been
won't hear me,
fucking
but
awesome.
we'll get to that. Go ahead.
Who's your World Series matchup for this year?
Jesus Christ, they played 4 fucking games in spring training.
Look, I
I'll mess
could
with
ask
you.
you
I'll
about
mess
the
with you.
next year's
I'm
draft if
fucking
you want.
with you, dude. I'm totally fucking with you. Well, I will say the Nationals. I'm big on the Nationals because I
Clearly.
think losing Bryce Harper, and they got and their pitching is great.
And they were close last
And I think
year.
pressure changes when you lose. I think the Indians are like, you guys have all been on teams or all worked with groups. I think the pressure's different when you. I think the Cavs went through this a little bit, to be honest. Like and the Lakers are like young Lakers are going through this right now. They're not prepared for. It's not the game. It's not 7 o'clock that's their problem. It's everything else that comes along with being LeBron's teammate.
Yeah,
is the
that's
problem
a-
with the. I
it's a
really believe
disaster
that.
there.
I
Yeah.
really believe and it's LA.
Yeah.
And it's LA,
I
right?
very much agree.
So like when the game starts, it's like we go.
That
play.
team is better than what it's appearing.
Right, and you know this. You get attacked differently. People play you differently when you have.
Yes.
So, and I think I was going to ask you about that. I think Washington's going to make it from the National League, and I got to see the Indians because of my job, and motherfuckers at work there are going to hear this. Let me say this real quick. Basketball-wise. You guys didn't ask, but I got to answer this.
No, yeah.
Way back when I first got into business. Because, like, we've known Maverick Cart. We know all these guys.
Oh, yeah, Maverick's a great guy.
We've known all these
Good
guys.
guy.
So we were in a bar, and Maverick and I were, like, bullshitting. This is, like, LeBron's, like, rookie year. And I'm saying this because kids out there, I want people to know this. And I know LeBron appreciates this 16 years later. I go, hey, because Maverick knew me, and, like, I played football with, like, his cousins. Like, I knew, like, his family. And I go, hey, I didn't get in this business to make money off of you guys. Like, I'm going to do this on my own. I go, if you want to help me, if you want to give me something, cool. But I'm not in this business because of LeBron.
So what you're saying is you're not leeching.
Right.
Gotcha.
And I'm not
gotcha.
saying anybody is or isn't.
Yeah, no.
Right,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put
No,
words.
that's fine. You said that. But I, like, put that out there early in the game of, like, hey, I'm not asking for anything because you know me or need me or, like, because of that. I was like, I'm not in the business for this. Like, I'm in my own business to do what I do. And I will say 16 years later, the crazy thing is like I have opinions about the Lakers and I have opinions about LeBron, but I'm very cautious with them because I feel like, and not because I'm afraid, but because I feel like people are like, oh, he went to St. V. Oh, he's from Akron. Oh, he knows this guy. Oh, that people run with certain things because I think there's so much more. And this is why sports are great, but they're not great because there's a microcosm of our real world. If I say, yeah, LeBron was shitty last night, the average person runs with that and goes, oh, Andre thinks LeBron is shitty.
Bashing on, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
And
I
like
do.
because of the depth of knowing them, I sit back and I watch everybody else kind of talk about it because there's so much more to decisions and to why guys play the way they play. And like as soon as I said, like the problem with their team is they're afraid of everything else that comes with it. They got some talented freaking kids, but they're kids.
Very underrated players there.
Like Kuzma is a star.
Kuzma
is a star.
is a star. Ingram is
Ingram
underrated.
yes.
Rondo still has
Rondo
it.
still is a player, right?
He is still a solid point.
But
I
chemistry's
think
weird.
given the opportunity, Rondo is still top 5 point guard.
Oh, in the playoffs, I would take Rondo
Hands
over
down.
like 3 or 4 other guys.
yes, I would.
Absolutely.
How much did it hurt them having LeBron out as much as he was?
Oh, it
You
killed
couldn't
him.
build
Oh,
that
it killed him.
chemistry.
It's still
And it kills him if the other kid ain't there. With Ball is
Yeah.
out because they need that point. Like not that he's a great point guard, but they need that. He gave him spurts.
Cohesiveness.
Ball has the Ben, maybe even a worse
Ben Simmons,
version
good call.
of the Ben Simmons factor. Lonzo Ball is an amazing passer, a great point guard, fantastic rebound, and a super underrated defender, in my opinion.
Right. Well, he has a feel. You just said it.
Underrated
he has a feel
defender.
for the game.
The problem is he doesn't have
The problem is
he
most of
doesn't
these
have
guys
a
don't.
consistent jump shot.
Yeah, and they don't learn the entirety of the game. We're watching a lot of the great players, great athletes,
Yeah.
learning how to play
Yeah.
in front of us every single night. Where it used to be, and I'm not one guy to say, go to college for 3 years. I'm not saying that.
No.
But when you learn the game on the highest level, the guys that are learning are going to take advantage of you. It's like anything else. It's like, oh, you can get 2 for 1 right here. Oh, you don't know that the pick and roll is going to come in. This guy's going to, like, there are like small things about the game that you can get taken advantage of.
There's scenarios, microcosms that you don't know unless you're actually in it.
Right.
And how you react to it's a big thing.
Right. And I think the Lakers right now are on their heels constantly. Yes. Because it's like, oh, we're playing LeBron tonight. Like, I can tell you guys, I've been around I can tell you when you show up and you're playing in LA, it's time to show out.
It's not even just the playing with LeBron. You know what? Even more, because the Lakers aren't just an NBA team; they're an NBA dynasty, good or bad. Yes. They're a dynasty.
Yes, absolutely. No, you're right.
They're a foundation of the NBA. Right. They're not just a team.
Like here, and I'll say this about and I know we've run long. I learned this in the 2016 World Series, and like being in Chicago. There's a couple of things that were cool about it. The Indians provided tickets, and I was able to take my dad to a World Series game.
Right on.
In Chicago. Like, dude, like...
You probably still did something wrong, though.
Yeah, fuck. We're up this high? No, he and
Mr. Bird are yelling at you.
You hear the truth? So, our first game at home, my dad shows up with his best friend, who's like 6'5", and my dad's shorter than me, like barely, like not that tall. And my father-in-law was like same height as me, and he showed up with his 6'5" friend. And my buddies are like, who the fuck are with your dads? The Houston Rockets? And I'm like, kinda. So my dad's all excited. They drink when they got there. And I'm like, Dad, where'd you park? He's like, I don't know. And he hands me his keys. Life completely flipped around. Like, I was like, whoa.
Go find it.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, motherfucker. I'm working. Like, I think I said motherfucker.
And he's like, I worked for 25 years to get you
Your
here.
ass wouldn't be here.
You take care of me now,
and
son of a
literally handed
bitch.
my keys, laughed, and went and got a shot. And I was just like, this isn't how this is supposed to go. So Pete Rose was on the Fox coverage of the World Series. Do you know my dad? He killed me. I want to meet Pete Rose. I'm like, Dad, I don't work for that Fox.
Right.
Like, I'm like, I don't know Pete Rose. Like,
find him on Facebook.
And my dad did not give a shit. And I'm saying this out of love. He literally was like, I want to meet, and he never asked.
Okay.
Like, and he meets, and like, he gets to be around, and I'm like, well, I guess I gotta go up to Pete Rose and introduce my dad.
Yeah.
Like, everybody else is like, I want to meet Lindor. My dad's like, I know him. Like, I want to meet Kluber. My dad's like, yeah. And like, literally, he's like, no, we want to take a picture with Pete Rose. And I'm like, really? You came to the game one of the World Series? And so I had to go up to Pete Rose and say, hey, I work for Fox locally, and my dad. That was all he cared about. Then he like gave me the keys and was like, all right, son. And I'm like, and I walked around, I was like, he's a dick.
So it's funny that you do that with your dad too, because it's funny your dad being the way that he is, my dad being the way he is. Your dad fangirled around Pete Rose.
Yes.
I am not going to tell you a story about how my dad did too.
My
dad turned into a fucking groupie. So with my mom's connection to the school, and you know this, my mom and dad were actually invited to LeBron's wedding.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. And when they got back,
that doesn't surprise me.
No, when they got back, I thought my dad was gonna be like, whatever, it was overdone. I don't know.
I had to wear a
Joe,
suit.
come here. It's so amazing. And my dad turned into a 12-year-old girl and had me sit down to walk me through all the exciting parts of LeBron's wedding.
Oh my God!
He's like, Joe, Dwayne Wade was there. Shane Battier was there.
Your dad brought Dwayne Wade because he's from Chicago and they were from Chicago.
Exactly.
I know.
He's like, Shane Battier. I'm like, Duke. I know you love Duke.
Right.
He's like, Pat Riley was there. No,
it's good. It's making a story. He's like, if you don't like the audio being fucked up, go to hell.
Yeah, you're not gonna like most of this podcast.
I'm the one that's gonna get blamed for it.
That
true.
fucked
We'll
up
be-
everything.
he's like, Pat Riley was there. And my dad, Pat Riley, again,
Pat
institution.
Riley. Right.
You
Fucking
know,
Pat
Lakers,
Riley.
Knicks. That's Pat
Right,
fucking Riley.
right.
That guy's won titles with 3 different teams.
Your dad remember when he played in Kentucky. Like,
Yeah, my dad remembers all that. And then my mom, I remember, was like, Joe, he's not kidding. It was amazing. And then she starts gushing about seeing Dwayne Wade's wife, Gabrielle Union.
Yeah.
My mom was like, I didn't want her to be as pretty as she was, and she was. And she's like, Gabrielle Union is a fucking knockout. Then my parents are both gushing about how upset they are that they're not these people.
Right. And your parents were fucking great. They
Yeah.
were perfect people.
Yeah. My dad, but that's just the way it was. And the only, and I will end with this one. The only one that kind of gush about this too is when they did that. What was it called? The movie, the More Than a Game.
Yeah, More Than a Game. Yeah.
So they did that in downtown Akron.
Right.
A lot of people, a lot of celebrities were at. My mom doesn't know anything.
His mom is one of the best people in the world.
My mom's fucking amazing.
She's amazing.
This story probably best describes my mom in the best way to describe her. So they're at the after party for this More Than a Game, and all these celebrities there. And my mom sees this guy in the corner, is kind of sitting there just by himself. So my mom's like, "Oh, that's sad."
That's Patty.
Goes over, starts talking to him for like 20 minutes. Mom's like, "Really nice guy, really, really nice guy, Joe." And I'm like, "Well, that's good. That's good." So my dad walks up and is like, "Patty, do you want to?" Oh my god, because my dad knows right away who she's talking to.
Who?
So my mom stands up like, "Oh, Jim, this is, oh my God, I'm sorry. I haven't even got your name." He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Ken Griffey Jr."
Holy shit! Holy shit!
My mom has been pity talking to Ken Griffey Jr. For like 20 minutes. And my dad's like, "Patty, I know who he is."
Oh my god! That's Patty. Though.
That's my family.
She's the best person in the world.
So,
she really is. That's a loss.
Turns out that even though that our parents, dads especially, were pretty hard-nosed about a lot of stuff, they can turn into fangirls as easily as we can.
Pete
So
fucking Rose.
Pete
Imagine I
Rose,
would have told you
man.
that at 13.
it's Pete
I heard
Rose.
he's pretty. What was he?
He was like,
Joe Namath.
yes.
Yeah.
That's, damn. Pretty good. Yeah. But like, I could say.
Well, I
'cause,
have
like,
my heroes.
Yeah, right. I would have kissed
Okay.
you. I would have kissed you.
Oh,
Yeah.
my favorite interview ever.
But like literally, I had to go up to him and like they let me up. I think he was okay because I was allowed up on the stage. So
Yeah.
he realized I wasn't like typical fan.
Right.
And I was like, hey, I work for the local Fox company. My dad is and he was like, oh, like he got it. Like
Yeah.
it was. He was really cool about it. But like at the same time, I remember looking like Joe is saying, like I never thought in 100 years that I would have to do that for my dad.
But that's
like it was
pretty
cool.
rad.
It was cool.
You almost think like his dad or my, like you almost like his dad, like where Andre would be like, "Oh, it's Pete Rose." You're like, "Well, I don't know.
Right.
Maybe you can come to me, but I got things
Right.
to do."
And because our dads blew
Our
off,
dads,
our dads
but
blew off
our-
most people. Like,
Yeah.
Our dad's like, "Okay, well, what'd they do today?"
Right.
You
Right.
know, that's just the way it was.
It is.
So.
But you know, it's a good way to. I'm blessed to be here. And
You repaid him for his patience in you.
absolutely. It's what my whole life going forward is.
Yeah,
But
man.
To be honest, like my whole thing was, and I will admit, I like half my life, and I told you guys in the other, like, I just didn't ever want to disappoint my fucking dad. Like
Yeah.
I never wanted to, like, it was.
No
I
one wants to.
I never wanted to let him down, and
Yeah.
and I'm still that way. And like I'll admit, I'm still this way to this day. Like.
I am too. I'm thinking about God. I hope Andre's dad isn't mad at some of the shit I said.
He already called.
I don't want to get a random text like, "You think that shit's funny?"
Well, we're way over. I could do this all fucking night. I
too.
love
We're gonna
this.
do it
I know
again.
you got
Yeah.
shit to do, but we're definitely gonna do this again.
We're definitely gonna do it again. So,
thanks
when I
for
got
being
here in this beautiful palatial studio that you guys have,
Yeah.
and like I don't like look, I gotta say this, I don't bring up black and white very often because I don't live in that life because my dad went out of his way to make me see life as what life is. People treat you how they treat you. Racism is what it is. If you buy into it, you're gonna ruin half of like the fun you could have in life. But when I got here today, you can read the text, Joe. Love y'all. I'll be back.
So this is what happened. So
wait.
we do the podcast in the basement. I'm sorry. So we can't really hear much. So Andre shows up, sends me a text, goes, "I'm at the door." Nothing happens because I'm still downstairs fucking about. And sends a follow-up text. "I'd walk right in, but black people have died for worse."
So the next time you stare at somebody, wait. I gotta tell this story real quick. This last story, and the next time I come on, we won't talk about racism.
By the way, I ran upstairs like, he's right.
yeah, I heard like laughing, and Joe like runs around the corner. He's like, I got you.
Get inside, quick.
You probably don't, and you probably don't remember this. You played a basketball game. Even when I stopped playing basketball, I was still a part of the Burden family in high school. And when we had faraway games, I would crazy. Like I would go with his parents to the games because it was a free ride, and they would buy my ticket and buy me popcorn.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, and then I knew I didn't have to sit next to him. Well, his dad didn't want to sit me next to him. But we were in Canfield. And I don't even know if you remember this or know this. You probably don't know this. I was we were sophomores or juniors. And I was with like all the other students or whatever else. And we were yelling at the other team or, like what 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds do.
Yeah.
And somehow or another, and your sister Erin was there, and I'll never forget. And like this cop in and I'm not calling out Canfield, but fuck you, motherfuckers. So this cop randomly just grabbed me.
Randomly.
Yeah. Randomly just grabbed me and made me out to be the problem at halftime of a basketball game.
I remember this.
And his dad came out of fucking nowhere like fucking Batman and like about to beat the shit out of the cops.
Really?
And the cop didn't know how to react because there's this white man that's like, get the fuck off of him. Don't fucking touch him. Like I said, the Burdens were like my second parents, and I'll never forget how his dad reacted. His dad was so pissed. Like his dad wanted to fight the cops, and I'm like, it's not that. Like I'd rather get arrested than you get arrested.
Right.
Like, and I didn't do anything wrong. I was just being a high school kid. Like I was yelling for our guys, and his dad fucking like I don't even know. He was like Superman. He literally like he was in his normal spot, and he was just like, whoosh. And I was like embarrassed because I made Mr. I was embarrassed because like after that happened, I was like, oh my god. I made Mr. Burden do that.
You know what's great about that story? It's the fact that he was watching everything, protecting you.
Yeah, right.
And you weren't, you know what I mean?
And I didn't do anything that wrong. I was just a high school kid.
And that just goes to show you the character of your dad, who I never met.
And it's who we have to live up to.
Also, I don't think you guys understand how much my dad would enjoy dressing down another adult man.
And he did. Yeah,
But he didn't have patience for shit like that.
He didn't. And the embarrassing part for me was like he came to watch his son play ball, and we all came to play, and like, but he was on it, man. He was on it.
I remember him talking about it. He was not embarrassed at all, and he wasn't mad at you. He was like, this guy was just, he was on a power trip, and he didn't give me details. He's like, I handled.
Right. Well, because your dad knew me though too. He knew that like I was loud and like I was being me. But he was
you're a loud kid at a high school basketball game.
Right. And that's what and like but I'll never forget being like and looking around being like, he didn't have to fucking do that. He could have very easily just been like, well, call us when you get out. And he wasn't like that. And like and literally like the rest of the game, I literally like sat like embarrassed because I was like, God, I didn't want Mr. Burden to do it. And like to him, he was like, if they say something else to you, let me know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And it was one of the other times where I was like, maybe I should just fucking play. Thank you guys for letting me be.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to be back.
Well, you're definitely going to come back. Brother, thank you for coming.
And I'm really calling when I pull in the driveway next way. So I'm
It's safer.
All right. Yeah. I think that's it. This has been fucking awesome. I've loved it. It's
April 6th.
April
6th.
These assholes, 7 o'clock will be at some bar. On the A to Z podcast.
A to Z podcast.
You go to iTunes.
I'm sure way more people listen to that.
We listen to
Anything else you want to plug? So you broke the news of your new podcast.
Oh, and there should be another podcast coming out
soon. That's fucking awesome, man.
What is there a date set or anything yet?
I go back. We're recording this Tuesday night. I go back to Arizona Thursday, and Friday afternoon I'm sitting down with Trevor Bauer, Mike Clevenger, and we're going to make this into a whole. Quickly, we did like a bunch of interviews last year on TV. My wife pushed me to get Trevor out there more because of the oddness of Trevor. Clev is exactly what you think when you look at him. I love that guy. He doesn't give two shits. And we came and I told him after we did this long interview that people like were blown away by. And I was like, you should do a podcast. So they were calling me now saying, so we're going to start a podcast with those two. And I'll probably, and Eric Mangini will probably fire me.
Fuck that guy.
Man, let us know when it's happening. Even though you don't need our support, you definitely have our support.
I appreciate that.
You are always welcome to come on anytime. I think I think this is kind of like the preliminary where we just kind of get all the cobwebs out about all the stories we have, and I think we can maybe get into some other cool stuff because I'd like to talk about the football stuff, the Jesse Smollett stuff, everything. You know,
I want to talk all that with you guys.
All that
so
stuff.
next time we do this, they'll go on their Facebook page that 20 of you guys go to, and you can put out your favorite question.
I like that.
Well, I think we just got dissed.
You didn't get dissed. In this world, you need a Facebook page.
All publicity is good publicity.
We're just idiots when it comes to social media. But thanks for everything, man. This has been awesome.
Thank you, brother.
All you listeners are assholes. No.
Come back.